Oh, hey, let me get into the comment section. See, there's 5 people here everywhere already. Dave, 2A Dave. Dave, I believe if you look, I think I set it up. You are a moderator. I can't tell from here because I'm not actually in the YouTube live feed. So let me know if you see your wrench. Let me get this completely set up. So we're going to, guys, I ain't gonna lie, I'm out of breath. I ran all the way from inside the house and then realized I needed to close the garage door. So I was running to do that. Ain't nobody dope as me, just fresh. So Ivan Chen, thank you once again for the big super chat you did the other day. Okay, so sitting here, he's sitting here waiting on us to start. He's smiling. Is a gentleman that I met a couple years ago at Blade Show West. At the time, he owned Fiberlight Firestarter. Now he owns Fiberlight Firestarter and Ember Shirt Co., both veteran-owned companies. And we're gonna bring him in right now and talk with Justin Lair. Really, really good guy. Be nice to him. Don't make me ban anyone in this live feed. Murky Ocean, what's up? Hey, Justin, what's going on, bud? Long time no see. That's a lie.
What's up, Mike? Hey, I gotta give a shout out to Snuzz Nuzz for that comment. That's legendary, dude.
He was here. He was here for that, and he said that was one of his favorite. Little stories that he's heard. I don't know if I was laughing so hard I could barely breathe. My eyes were watering because I've been to Pendleton. I've seen him shark attack someone that just the minorest little imperfection in their uniform or something. They're just on them like sharks. So okay, so like I said, Justin, you own Fiberlight Firestarter and Ember Shirt Co., but we're gonna let a few more people get in here. So tell us about, because I know you were a Marine and I know you were with the Presidential Guard. Kind of let us know what's up with that, because I think you're the only person I've ever met that can honestly say that.
Yeah, there's not too many of us. They keep a small crew there. There's roughly 100 to 120 guys in that unit at any given time. They recruit us out of MP school. And in our entire class at MP school, they only selected 2 of us. So yeah, it's a quite select few of Marines that get the opportunity to do that job, and I just happened to be one of them. Just right place, right time, and it was cool, man. It was really cool.
So cool. I mean, so you guys, you're the guy that you're the guys that you see outside the helicopter when the president gets on and off the helicopter, right?
Yeah, the guys that salute the president when he gets on the helicopter and off of it. Yeah, that's one of them is the crew chief. He's the guy that stands closest to the front of the aircraft, and then the security Marine is the guy that's on the other side of the stairs going up. So yeah. That's what we did. Our whole job is just to protect the presidential asset, Marine One. And then, you
guys are like the Marine Corps. So that's kind of like the Marine Corps for the president. But the Air Force has Ravens that kind of do the same thing. They protect the asset because, they usually have their own protective detail. You guys are there just to protect like Air Force One, the helicopter and all that stuff, right?
We're just there just for Marine One. We don't have anything to do with Air Force One. I mean, we're around it all the time, but yeah, our responsibility is just the security of that aircraft.
Cool. So, well, there are 14 people here, which that's not bad for the first 4 minutes. We probably have some more people coming in. So I wanted to ask you, since you own 2 companies, we'll talk about the first one first. Mm-hmm. So how did you decide coming out of the Marine Corps that you wanted to start Fiberlight Firestarter for outdoor gear? What precipitated that decision?
Yeah, no, it actually starts before the Marine Corps. I started my first business when I was 15 years old in high school with my best friend, and so that was just kind of like the seed that was planted. Entrepreneurship, and I loved it when I was 15, and we owned that business all the way through high school. And shut it down. My best friend, he went off to college. I went off to the Marine Corps, so we shut the business down. And
so you actually started this. You started this right here before you ever even joined the Marines.
No. I started Fiberlight in 2017.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood. I thought you were saying you started it and then shut down when you joined the Marines.
No. Yeah, that was a totally different business. I've actually started and owned 7 different companies through my life.
Yeah.
And Fiberlight, Ember Shirt Co., and Production House Printing, our print shop, are the 3 businesses that I currently own.
Cool. Hey guys, do you guys want to see? Because I forgot you had the water demonstration. Let's see if this plays. I don't know if you guys will be able to hear it because sometimes it doesn't. Let me log into this and see if I can get this to play.
Let's go.
Can you guys hear the audio?
Yeah. There's not much audio.
I would say it's not much. So he just poured a bunch of water in that. This is what you showed at Blade West. And I was really impressed with it. You had way more water. You had it floating on the water.
Yeah, we do a couple different demonstrations depending on the audience and what they want to see. But yeah, I mean, it'll light on fire when it's floating on top of water. This one actually is more impressive in my opinion because we completely douse it with the water, and then it lights up with one strike.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean, yeah, I was pretty impressed, and I've used it, and then I had the nugs, the fire nuggets too that you sent me, and those I actually did a video, and if I remember right, they burned for like 13 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that one, and I really didn't do anything to it. Like I imagine if I broke it up a little bit, it would have been easier to light. I tried lighting it with the ferro rod. You can do it, but like I had one that was like really just waxy, and instead of breaking it up a little bit, I tried strike, and I got it to start once, but then I just used a Bic lighter. But it burns great, and like if you can't find like for those big the nuggets, if you can't find like some dry kindling, like you could if you had the other stuff, that would that's a lot of heat and a lot of time for that to sit there burning to catch even something that might be a little bit damp.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. I when I invented that stuff, I have a theory or like a thesis of mine. It's called the ugly baby.
I don't know what happened. Okay. My system kicked me out again. It's done it a few times.
Yeah. No, I've got this thing. It's called the ugly baby theory, and it's something I'm very aware of, being a serial entrepreneur and owning so many businesses throughout my life. The one thing I'm very aware of that I know that I can't do is fall in love with the business to where it blinds me to make me like. To give you a better example, we've all got friends and family members that have babies, and some of them are just ugly, and it's just a fact, right? And it's typically the one that has the ugliest baby is the one that's always like walking around saying how beautiful their baby is. Like, oh, look at my baby, it's so beautiful. And that's the one typically that has the ugliest baby. And the reason for that simply is love, right? They love the child so much they're blinded by that, and they don't realize that their baby is actually ugly. And
I'm not the person you went, oh, isn't my baby cute? I'm not the person you want to ask me that. I'm like, no, your baby looks like a fucking pink monkey.
Yeah. So like I was very aware of that with Fiberlight. I knew it worked, but I didn't want to fall in love with it. So I sent it out. In the first year of Fiberlight, I didn't try to sell Fiberlight. I never was focused on selling the product. I really just wanted the market to tell me that it was a good product as opposed to me saying that it was a good product. And so I sent it out to as many people as I could find for free, like, hey, check this stuff out and let me know what you think. And I ended up selling 36,000 cans of Fiberlight that first year without even trying. And I came to find out that it's a pretty good product. It works well and people love it. And
I've never had a kindling, like you get the waterproof kindling and stuff like that, and some of that waterproof, like the jute fiber or whatever it is that they put inside of like some of things, and I've never had it light and work real well. And then you showed me the stuff there at Blade Show West, and I was like, all right. And you sent me some. I mean, I liked all you guys, but I waited till I got home and I tested it myself, and I was like, holy crap, this stuff's great. Where was this when I was a kid growing up and we had such a big farm that I had to go check fence, and I'm trying to build a campfire out on the farm because it takes 2 days to check the fence on a 300 some odd acre farm. And I'm like, where was this when I was a kid? Holy crap, Aiden's here already bringing it. I don't have my cowbell. Hang on a second, Aiden. I don't know what I did with it. We have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. We'll just do this. There we go. Now, I might have found it. There we go. So, no, that stuff is great. And like I said, I think the nuggets actually, I'm trying to hide it. I think the nuggets actually burn longer. It's just they're a little bit harder to light.
Yeah, and it really just depends. The nuggets are really they're trash. We
They're trash. Should never buy them like that.
No, in the production process,
I know they're a byproduct.
Yeah, it's a byproduct. It goes back into the system and it gets remelted down, and we never intended on selling those. But more and more people asked about them, and we decided to throw them up there for sale. And people love them. So when we do production runs, and we always end up having just a bunch of those at the bottom of the bins, and we package them up and sell them. Yeah.
Like you sent me a big bag of them, and I don't go camping anymore. I did enough of that when I was in the military. Like, who you want to go out to the desert and go camping? I'm like, I've had enough of all of that, to tell you the truth. I spent enough time in the desert, and I spent a lot of time camping when I was in the military, and I'm good with not doing it anymore. So my friend Tino, Nico and I are friends with a guy named Tino. He goes out to the desert like as often as he can. They go rock crawling in his big SUV and stuff. And I gave him half of those. I'm like, here, take those out there. And he's like, these are great. He's like, these are great for out there just to get a fire started, because he's a city boy. He's not a country boy. He really doesn't know how to get a fire started. So it makes it really easy for him.
Yeah. It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff.
So now we have a knife question. Now that we've went through that, and we'll get to the new company. And Nico, I don't have a cowbell. I have a thermos that sounds like a cowbell. Be right back getting pizza. You're my channel manager. Be right back getting pizza. You're lucky that my Fauci ouchie didn't make me sick, or you'd be running this whole thing. So we all know that you're really into knives. Well, I do anyway. These guys, I told them, but really, what was your first knife? You remember what your first knife was?
I do. It's a Becker BK2.
Becker, that was your first knife? Was a Becker BK2?
Yep.
Did you cut down trees with the thing?
Yeah.
Do you still have it? Do you still have your first knife? That's a better question.
Yeah, actually, that's a good story, because I ended up modifying it. I stripped all the black coating off of it, and then I put I reground it. I polished, like gave it a high polish, and then I forced a patina on it, and it looks awesome. And I happened to have it with me. I don't know why. At Blade Show West in 2019, I had like a case that had just a handful of.
You mean that's when we met too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a case of knives that I brought with me. I figured, I think my mindset was that I would probably get into a knife conversation with somebody at Blade Show West, and I wanted to show off some of my knives. So that's why I brought those knives with me. And then Ethan Becker comes to the booth, and I kind of fanboyed over Ethan for a minute and got to know him. He's a cool ass dude.
Yeah, Ethan is a pretty cool dude. I got to talk to him a couple times.
Yeah, and then I was like, man, I know I have my BK2 inside my case, but I was afraid to show it to him because I had modified it. I didn't want to like piss him off, Yeah. So anyway, I was like, I'll show it to him. So I was like, hey, I want to show you my first knife that I ever got. And I was like, I've modified it, so you have to forgive me. And I pulled it out, and he loved it. He was like, you know what? This is exactly what I would do with this knife if I was to buy one. He's like, I don't like the coating
is that like that coarse coating? It's almost like the modeled
rubber. It's like what you put in like a bed liner. Almost.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like Herculiner. That's what I was gonna say. It's like bed liner. Yeah, I never liked it either. I mean, they're great knives, but I never liked the coating that was on it.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, right? It's a high carbon knife. You got to protect the steel. It's going to rust, all that stuff. But that's why I forced the patina on it. So yeah, that's my first knife, Becker BK2.
So my first knife, and I think you've heard that story, is a small little folder that my dad got me when I was like, I was like 5 years old. And it's an old silver sword, a Camelot silver sword.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got the crossed swords on it, and he engraved his he engraved my initials in it with his handwriting. So that's, guys, if you ever wonder why the logo on my knives looks like that, like an M and then like a J with a weird line, well, it's because my dad made my initials, the J and the E, all one thing. And the logo that you see on my knives is my father's handwriting of my initials that was on the first knife he ever gave me. We scanned it and turned it into a logo. And so it was, it makes my mother cry every time she hears the story, because it's a way that I could immortalize my father, because every one of those knives that's lasered in, my father lives along with that knife as long as those people have it. So as long as that logo's around, my father gets to live on a little bit. It was a way to pay it back, because he brought me into the hobby of owning knives.
You know, I have to say that, I had owned many knives before then. But I knew nothing about knives. So like one in particular that I remember was a knife I bought from Big Five. It was like a trapper, like a two-bladed trapper. I think it was like a Smith and Wesson or something like that. But that was before I knew anything about knives. When I started, what happened was I started watching Prepared Mind 101 on YouTube back in the day, like in 2016.
You mean pre-production knife that he had made with Bark River, like when he first started?
No, it was long before that. He didn't make those until 2018, I think. But anyway, yeah, it was early on, and I would hear him do these gear reviews and all this stuff, and I'd hear him talk about knives, and he'd talk about the blade steels, and he'd talk about like the blade profiles and different grinds and stuff. I had no idea what he was talking about, and that, because I didn't know what he was talking about, it made me want to learn as much as I could about knives, so that I did understand, like, what a Scandi grind was, or what a drop point was, or whatever, and and like what 3V was, because that was a big thing at that time. And
yeah, it's a really rust prone steel.
So I knew nothing about that, and I just really wanted to learn. And at that time, he was a big fan of Becker, like the BK7 and the BK6. And that's not really my knife style. I didn't want a giant ass fixed blade like that. And so that's why I ended up falling on the BK2, because it was a smaller knife. And so, yeah, that was the first knife that I bought, like with the intention of, like, when I cared about knives. And then it's just been a problem.
I think you nailed it, Monster. Not to interrupt you, sorry. I just.
Okay.
And by the way, Monster Racing has got a GoFundMe going. Go find him on Instagram. He's got a link to it there. He's got a GoFundMe so that he can. He's a single father, and he needs a little bit of help out. So if you can, it would be appreciated. So.
Yeah, so that's when I started caring about knives, was like 2016 to 2017. And then, it's been all downhill from there. Can't stop buying them. And it's a problem.
My wife's bird
on my desk in my office. I just have knives everywhere. It's probably the same for you. Check out this one. Oh, this one's pretty freaking awesome. This was I
have my entire case just sitting right here. So I can reach out and grab them. Is that an Opnel?
It's an Opnel 08, and it's a Grail knife. I wanted it to be completely custom, and so I had a
little guy.
I had a local knife maker just totally customize this for me, and it's freaking outstanding.
That's the one you were telling me about. I like those handles. Is that just a stain, or did he?
He like burned it and stained it.
Yeah.
And I had one made for John. I had one made for Anthony. Do you remember Anthony? He was with Ready Man at the Ready Man booth at Blade Show West.
I think so. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got knives everywhere. It's
Bro,
a
I've got at any given time. I was telling someone this. I was like, why do you always have your pew pew with you when you're in the garage? And I was like, because anytime my garage door's open, I don't trust anybody because not including the knives that are here from customers and from Jared Neves over at Neves Knives and anybody else that sent me knives. I just in my case is $10,000 worth of knives, and it's in the garage with me, and plus my computer and everything out here. I was like, of course, yeah, no, wrong garage.
Are we allowed to show pew pews or no?
No, they'll shut the live feed right down. I don't even talk about it, but mine's right here on the turquoise grandmother couch. Doesn't this look like a couch to be in somebody's grandma's house? It's actually a cover, but I'm sticking with the turquoise leaves.
Yeah, so, me and Johnny have an arsenal with us at all times. It's
of course,
pretty fun.
Of course, you're up there where Andy Tifa lives.
Yeah, I mean up here in Oregon, especially where we're at in our little town, it's like a bunch of cowboys up here, man. Everybody has pew pews.
Yeah. Oh wait, somebody throw some sesame seeds and wasabi on it. You love it. Actually, this is my wife's. It was a cover for a small little sofa that she had in college, and it just happens to fit this love seat. My wife and I bought this love seat the second year we were married. We've had this love seat for 18 years, and I still use it. Okay, here we go. Third question. Screaming right along. Why do you look so much older than me?
It's probably the beard and all them damn gray hairs.
I mean, I got a beard.
How old are you?
I'm 47.
Shit.
It's okay. It's okay because you know what? My father, everybody was like, man, your father doesn't look as old as he is. And then my daughter's friends were all like, your dad doesn't look as old as he is. I was like, yeah, let's not go throwing that out too much. My dad only made it to 62. Like we always look real good, but then we go bad. Our shelf life's not that good. We're like bananas. Can't keep us around too long.
Yeah, no, I attribute my age to just like all the shit I've done in my life, you know.
All the stupid stuff that we've done in our lives.
Yeah, and just, you know, even just like right now in my life is a good example. You know, middle of COVID, me and John decided it would be a good idea to start 2 new businesses. Yeah, the print shop and Ember Shirt Co. They're technically
because they're kind of separate. That's right. Okay.
And, you know, all at the same time while we're owning and operating and running Fiberlight. So it's just, you know, all those hours we work our brains out. And I guess it just ages us. Shoot, Johnny's only like 25.
Yeah, he looks like he's 40. I'm kidding, John. I'm kidding. What was this? Where do I store my knives? Well, so since this garage actually we've got one of the slide locks for this garage door, so you can't just pop it and roll it up. And we don't have to park our cars in the garage. I just keep most of my stuff here in the garage because you're not going to get in. If you were trying to get in this garage door, I would hear you. You're going to need a grinder. So I keep them it's not a Pelican case. I just got a case. Carl, just go back. You can find I did a video of my $10,000 knife collection. So, all joking aside, why did you start a print company? That was my next question.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of know the answer, but I kind of want to hear your take on it.
Yeah. So it all started with, you know, Fiberlight. Early on, we'd get customers messaging us saying, "Hey, you should sell merch. Like I would love to rep the brand." And I never wanted to sell merch because there's just a lot of logistics involved in merchandise that I don't want to deal with. Like we we manufacture and produce and package and fulfill orders, you know, all across the world. And I don't want to have to deal with, you know, figure out how many small black shirts I have or small red shirts I have and how many I need and every other size and every other color and stuff. So it was never something I wanted to do, but you know, customers were asking for it, so I was like, all right, I'll look into it. So I found what's called print on demand, and there's 3 major print on demand companies in the United States. One of them is called Printful, the other one's called Printify, and the other one's called Teespring. and it's pretty nice, with Shopify. Printful has an app that just automatically integrates into your website. You could create the merch right there in the Shopify app, and put it on the website. And then if you sell a shirt, that's where it's called print on demand. So if you sell a shirt, the order will come to us, but it'll also go to the print shop. They'll print the shirt like the next day or like a couple days later, and then they'll ship it directly to your customer. So I don't have to worry about any inventory, and I don't have to worry about pre-ordering a bunch of shirts that I don't even know if they're going to sell. And so that was a pretty cool service that we used for a long time. There was a handful of problems with it, though.
Yeah, I tried to set up a merch store. I know that you and I talked about this. I had the same problems that you're about to talk about.
The product isn't very good to begin with. The quality of the prints and all that stuff is not very good. And then, quality of our products that we sell is very important to me and John. And, it's one of the reasons why Fiberlight has done so well is because, the product is like we're able to touch every single piece and make sure that the quality is there and that the customer is going to get, exactly what they paid for, and it's going to be perfect. But with Printful, I never saw the product. It went shipped directly to the customer. And so I didn't like not having control over that. Whenever we ordered samples, we were never super excited about the samples. They were never the quality was never that great. So,
but they feel great at first. And then 3 washes in, you're like, my shirt's falling apart. The ink's all coming off.
Yeah. And then also, the reality is that when you use Printful, you sell a shirt for $28, you're going to make $2.
If that.
And the profit margins was never something that was that big of a deal to me because, again, we were not an apparel company, and I didn't care that I was only making $2 a shirt because that's not what we're doing. We're making fire starting gear.
Yeah.
That's where we make all of our money. And so, it wasn't that big of a deal. But then, a handful of different things happened that it's just we got to figure something else out. And then one day, me and John just got a wild hair up our ass, and we were sitting in our office. Our desks are right next to each other. It's like, do we just want to buy the printing equipment to print our own shirts? We'll be able to have all of our problems will be solved at that point. And so me and John just ordered the equipment. With the intention of just printing Fiberlight shirts. And then once we got that equipment, we just started, we're entrepreneurs. And so the business world, ideas start flowing, and we're like, man, now we have this equipment. We could do so much more with it. We could print for other people. We could do all this stuff. And then the other thing that happened was, we have a lot of really close relationships. Mike, I don't know if you know, but you're not on the slide.
Yeah, I know. I minimized you because I'm actually answering a.
Oh, sounds good.
I let you have the full screen because I'm taking care of something off that I cannot ignore for a moment.
Do your thing. And then because we have a lot of relationships with a bunch of other outdoor brands, they quickly found out that we were printing our own shirts, and they started asking us if we could print for them as well. But the type of equipment that we purchased, it really wasn't scalable. We couldn't print out a whole bunch of shirts. So then me and John were like, well, looks like we probably could start up our own print shop and print for these other people. And so that's what we decided to do. And we our print shop is it's all direct to garment. So it's not screen printing, it's not vinyl. Our printers print directly on the shirts. It's a newer technology, very high quality stuff. And we also Jeff Kirkham, he's one of the original founders of Black Rifle Coffee. He's the owner of
probably one of the greatest dudes that I've ever had the pleasure of getting to make an acquaintance with.
Yeah, he's a cool dude, and he owns a bunch of businesses. He's just a entrepreneur to the max, and so he's like one of my mentors. So I oftentimes will call him and tell him about some wild ass idea that I have, run it by him, get his feedback or whatever. And so he knew that we were starting this print shop, and he's very interested in jumping on board with us, and so he's a partner with us on the print shop. He invested some money into us to help us get things going, and so yeah, and then we were also thinking, well, what else can we do with it? And that's when we came up with the idea of having like an in-house shirt brand, which is Ember Shirt Co. But to the public, Ember Shirt Co. and the print shop are the same thing. Behind the scenes, they're actually two different companies. But Ember Shirt Co. is like the face, the customer facing side.
Shop Cat just showed up and he's scratching on stuff. Hey,
nice. And so, yeah, we have our own brand, which is Ember Shirt Co. We have all of our Ember shirts on the website. And then we also are offering print on demand services for other people, like influencers like Mike, and other influencers and other companies as well. So we print for, just give you an example, we print for Full 30, we print for Student of the Gun, we print for Ready Man, we print for like a disc golf club down in Southern California. We print for local companies here.
Hey, look at that. There's my merchandise store right there.
Yeah, so on the website we have different companies. They all have their own individual stores and different influencers and things like that. They have click on Ember, the logo. Yeah.
Well, I have the full page.
Oh, okay.
Well,
if you scroll down, then you could see like each one of those companies or influencers, they have their own pages where people could go and purchase their own, their stuff. And then at the bottom there, those are all the Ember shirts, and that's on a slider.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys have seen me wearing this one, the primitive hook. That is my second favorite design that you guys have, because of course mine is, hey, look at that. I don't need that. But that is my second favorite design you guys have.
Yeah, we're always thinking of new designs and coming out with new.
Got every time you guys want to hear that bell ring, you got to throw some money at me. If you guys don't start throwing money at me, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start taking my clothes off till you do. It's called reverse stripping. No one wants to see that. Ask Jared. I sent him a picture of me in the shower, just like I've threatened him that I would. No, I got my shirts, and they're great. And you said that they're even better now than the ones you sent us.
Yeah, the ones because the other thing that's crazy about this whole thing, no one will ever know what it's been like, but the last 8 months has been absolutely insane. We knew nothing about printing. We knew nothing about apparel or anything like that 8 months ago. We threw a bunch of money at this idea, and we have a print shop, and so then we had to learn how to use it. And
there's very little that can't be solved with the proper application of cash.
Yeah. My dad always says nothing that brute force and bloody ignorance can't overcome, and so it's kind of me and John's approach to this print shop. And we've learned a ton, man. And early on, we were printing and everything was fine. We'd overcome different problems with printing and stuff, and then we started washing the shirts, and then we realized that something's not fine because things are washing out or cracking or whatever.
Yeah.
So we've just had to just learn and learn. And so when we printed your guys' original shirts, we were still learning stuff that we didn't know. But your original shirts, there was a chance that they could wash out or whatever, but we had changed our processes after that, and now the shirts are perfect. So the ones that have the thinner printing has been fine. The ones with the knives on them have cracked a little bit, but the one on I don't know if it's a difference in the material of the shirt, but the one that's on the browns, the tan shirt, actually has held up way better, and that is my favorite of them. You guys' shirts are great, but I think that tan shirt is my favorite because it's the most comfortable and it has worn the best out of all the colors. But then again, I wore the other ones a lot more. Mm-hmm. But that tan one's that's my go to the gym shirt because it almost feels like an Under Armour. Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, no, we our quality is like our most important thing, and so we tested out every shirt blank we could find, and we landed on a company that we feel has the best shirt blanks. The quality, they're not cheap. They're the most expensive shirt blanks, and we're proud to be able to have like just super high quality stuff.
Yeah, I gave just to give you a point, I had gotten some shirts that I thought were some of the best shirts that I ever gotten, some of the best sweatshirts. Independent trading company. I had given Dustin that information, and their sweatshirts and stuff are great. So I don't know if you want to look at those, but the t-shirts also are really good. I've got a few of their t-shirts. And when you sent me those shirts, I was like, oh, these are so much nicer than the independent trading company shirts. They're so much better.
Our sweaters, we're going to get them through independent trading company? Yeah, we're already hooked up with that company.
I've got a couple of them. They wear like iron. They just do not wear out. So Justin, we're not talking about the dye. It's not so much the dye that we're talking about washing out. We're talking about the actual, you know how these get where they just kind of crack and fade. Like that's what you want. You want them to you want to let them fade, but you don't want them just like peel off. I think that's more what Justin was talking about. It's not the dye. I didn't have any issue. With them bleeding out into stuff when my wife washed.
No, you wouldn't have that. But yeah, there's a science to get ink to stick to a shirt forever. Yeah, and we just had to figure that out.
We didn't know what that science was, but we worked on it until we figured it. And like I said, so you guys are. I'm a thought out there. If you guys if you guys own a company and you're looking to get stuff produced, you guys still have room to get stuff made, right?
Yeah, and even that's the beauty of print on demand and direct to garment printing. Unlike screen printing, where if you want something screen printed, the company has to make the screens and do all this setup that's pretty intricate, and that's where all your money goes. And you can't just buy one shirt from a screen printer. I mean, you can, but you're going to probably pay $100 for that one shirt. Screen printing, the value comes when you're ordering like thousands of shirts, because they could bang those out real quick. The nice thing about print on demand and direct to garment printing, like what we do, is anybody could just order one shirt and it'll be the same price as if you ordered 50 shirts or 200 shirts. It'd be the same price for that, per shirt if you just ordered one shirt. So if any of you just wanted, like a family vacation shirt and you just wanted 10 of them, or you just whatever, we could print anything in very low quantities, and the pricing is reasonable.
I was just responding to that. I didn't want to. Oh, I can take that down. We don't need to keep locking that in up there.
Kate Mason asked a question about sublimation printing. We have looked into sublimation.
That's okay. That's the one. There we go.
Yeah, we looked into all the different types of printing when we were trying to decide what printing we wanted to do. And sublimation has some limitations. It's very good when you're trying to print. Like you see those shirts, especially like dry fit shirts, like jerseys.
Yeah.
Like cycling jerseys, for example, they've got like printing all over it, right? And like color and stuff all over. That stuff, you can only do that with sublimation printing. But we don't really plan on printing shirts like that. And so, sublimation printing is not the best printing option for if you're just going to do, just a small print like that, or like.
It's pretty pricey too, isn't it?
I don't know what it costs to have a shirt made with sublimation printing. The equipment is not as expensive as like our printers. You could get a sublimation printer for like $5,000 or something.
Need to get Nico in on this. Somebody said hydro dip for those custom embellishments. Nico does hydrographics. You remember the cabinets in my old house that were behind me? The really nice wood grain ones in all of my videos? Where it's standing there and you can see these beautiful wood grain cabinet doors. Nico actually did those. Those weren't real wood grain. That was a hydrographic dip. He actually hydrographic those and then cleared them so that they looked like wood. And that's the joke Aiden's making, hydrographics.
What's Carl talking about?
Carl's saying that you can make more money if you're getting them made in China, and I told him you already own the equipment. I was like, but I mean, here's the thing too, Carl. No offense, but the whole thing is, I think that this is as wanting to keep it as much American made and an American company as possible. I know that the shirt blanks. I know that the shirt blanks are sourced overseas, but they're also really, really nice shirts. Like those are some of the best shirts I've ever seen.
Yeah, there's a lot of funny stuff when it comes to sourcing materials and things. The reality is that there's some things that just aren't made anywhere else other than overseas somewhere.
Yeah, like ferrocerium rods.
Like ferrocerium rods. And so, yeah, and I'm sure there's definitely parts in our printers our printers probably 90% Chinese. I mean, I don't know, but we bought it from an American company. But, you just can't get around it to a certain point. But we do the best we can to keep it local, keep it American.
Yeah. And they're pretty good. But the big thing is, guys, veteran owned, veteran operated. I mean, you're running both companies, really, right? I mean,
oh yeah, we run them all in our shop here. It's a 6,000 square foot shop, and we run 4 businesses out of here.
Yeah. So you got Fiberlight, Ember Shirt Co.,
the print shop,
and
John owns a real estate company.
Oh, John owns a real estate company. I thought you were going to tell me that he sold blow up sex toys on the internet.
No, John doesn't sell blow up sex toys. He's got a few of them.
So he just uses them. Like he has a couple. He just keeps them there.
He's a connoisseur.
Okay, I got you. Okay. So, you guys don't know John Spain. John, is it Despain or John's?
Despain.
Despain. That's what I thought. John's he works with Justin hand in hand. He's a great guy. I got to meet him at Blade Show West, and he can take a joke every bit as good as a military guy can. And he rightly should. He sits right next to Justin.
Yeah. Todd asked he had a comment on there. He said, "Evening, everyone been listening for a bit of great info on manufacturing. If you want to know more about manufacturing, whatever, I'm happy to share." Just
let's say this is fun, and the fact is, like, it is beer and blades, and you guys don't have to drink to watch it. But the fact is, like, that the whole point of this was because Justin's giving out a good product. I have my merch store there. I wouldn't have wanted my merch store with anyone else. As a matter of fact, I was very disappointed with how my merch store was before, and now I'm much more. Let's go and bring that back up, and I'll show you. Come on, this is working a little slow here.
And I'll just open it up to everyone watching. Like I'm an open book. So if you had any questions about Fiberlight or anything, 9 times out of 10 I'll answer your question.
So I had a question. I do have a question because a big question is, why is my mouse not working? Or is my Wi-Fi just so bad that it's not working? I don't know. I'm experiencing technical difficulties. We'll come back to that. Later. The print. Are you guys doing the print, that canvas print in house too?
Yeah. Our printers, they're really like a desk check printer that you have on your desk or in your office. You stick a piece of paper in there, you hit print, and it prints on there. So it's the same thing. It's just bigger. And instead of sticking paper in there, you stick a T-shirt in there. And we stick the canvases right in there, and it prints directly on the canvases. And then we run them through our conveyor dryer. And we put a clear coat on them.
It's basically the same process as the shirts.
Yeah.
Greg Gutfield's here. Howdy, Greg.
Aiden had a question. He says, "What is your favorite thing about your job besides having the opportunity to meet so many people?" Favorite thing, I'm an entrepreneur since I was 15 years old. I love building something. It's just there's something that's just so fun about it. So the greatest thing about being an entrepreneur and owning Fiberlight and the print shop is, we're creating our own destiny. Like, I have all the control. If I fail and I don't make any money, it's 100% my fault. On the flip side, if I do a good job, I make a lot of money. So yeah.
There we go. There it came up. That's what I was talking about. That looks really cool.
Yeah, those are so cool. Like, we haven't got a lot of traction on the canvases, but like for a man cave, to have like a feather stick or something on a canvas hanging in the back,
yeah,
it's cool, man. They look really cool. How large can we print on the canvases? What's our print service, Johnny? It's like 13 by 19. It's 12 and a half by 22 is our largest. Yeah, so 12 and a half by 22 is our largest print area. The only problem with that is they don't make canvases that are that size. So, like stock canvases, like if you go to Michael's and you buy a canvas, were they 12 by 16 is like the largest standard size canvas that we could buy.
Yeah,
we can get custom canvases made, but they'll cost too much, and it'll raise.
I was going to say that it raises the price at the end.
Yeah,
the price. Okay, so now we've established why you started a print company, and I'm not gonna lie, I like
say fart stick.
Fart stick, yeah, fart stick.
You don't know what a fart stick is, Greg?
Fart stick. That was David's nickname when he was in the Marine Corps, right?
Yeah. We have a picture of Dave on a canvas.
A fart stick. I bet he's watching. How about a crazy shirt pocket tee? I haven't worn a pocket tee in forever. Can you get the ones that have the pocket on the sleeve, like the cigarette pouch on the side? I don't smoke anymore, but I could put something in it. Do you remember what I'm talking about? Do you remember those shirts that had the cigarette spot
we
for?
Get any shirt, any type of shirt you could ever dream of, we could get.
There you go, Ken. There's your answer right there. Okay, so
we will be, building out Mike's page and having more designs on there and all that stuff. So,
guys, there's going to be a PDM. There's going to be a PDM shirt with the whole. If you guys remember the thing where I shot the video about the merch and how PDM was really upset. Luckily, PDM has not found out where we live yet. I think he's still wandering around the old neighborhood. But I want to get some shirts where it's like a picture of him with his with the cowboy hat on and the Jack Daniels shirt. And he's still standing at the counter with his tongue sticking out. And then it says PDM and like the P is backwards. And it looks like somebody did it with a crayon. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what my idea is. And there might be a shop cat.
Yeah, just if you could get a still image of that and send it over to me, and then I could run it through with our graphic designer, and we could make a drawing out of it.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Yeah. Oh gosh, a PDM shirt. And you know that I will, even if he can't even send me a freebie, I'm gonna fucking buy one. Okay, that's our first F-bomb of the evening. I'm gonna try and keep it down because the first one I did with this software, it was a long Friday night one, and I may have had a lot of alcohol, and I got that one completely demonetized. So no money. What is your favorite knife?
The one thing I love about knives more than this, some people might not understand this, or some people might completely connect with this, but obviously the utility of the knife is, I think, why we all buy knives, right? To be able to use them for whatever we're going to use them for. And that's probably people's number one reason for buying a knife. And it is mine as well. But I love giving knives as a gift.
Yeah.
I think there's something really cool about that. And, me and John, we've made up like 6 holidays a year that don't really exist just so that we could give each other knives. Every anniversary that you could think of that makes any sense. It was like, oh, today's whatever day, here's a knife. And so a lot of my knives that mean a lot, that I love the most, are knives that I've been given as a gift. And so the one knife that I carry every single day is my fox knife that John got me for Christmas one year, I think, or my birthday. That's one of my favorite knives because it was a gift from John, and it's a badass knife. It's a little, it's funny, I say I carry it with me almost every day. I don't have it with me right now.
I carry it every day. Where's it at? I don't have it today.
But it's a gentleman's folder. It's a modern traditional, so it's a friction folder. It's a cool knife. I also really enjoy my Medford knife that I have, because that's another knife that me and John, we both bought the same knife, so that we could both have that knife. It's a Medford Smooth Criminal.
Sorry, I had to step out of frame for a second.
That's all right. So I like that knife a lot. Here it is, right here.
Don't worry, I got mine.
Yeah, John, when he bought this for me, he bought one for himself. So this is John.
Is that little fox that you were showing me?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a nice little knife. I went over to get Shopcat, and I stepped on Shopcat's tail. He's pissed at me right now.
And it's got a little pocket sheath, and it's just a cool knife.
I like that. That's a nice little. It looks a lot like a swayback. So
yeah, I'm a big fan of sheepsfoots and Warncliffes, and so I have a lot of those. But yeah, I think those are probably my two favorites. The knife so I carry two knives with me every single day, and I'm a user. I don't have any knives that I'm afraid to carry or anything.
Yeah,
I've got a lot of expensive knives, and I'm I buy them so I could use them. So this knife John bought me for my birthday that just passed.
Hey! I saw that they brought those back. Those were discontinued for a while. The Cold Steel AK-47 is a great little knife.
Yeah, S35VN, and you know what, dude? I've become a massive fan of the Wave. I'm not a fan of Emerson knives. I don't have any Emerson knives in my collection. I just don't like the way that they look. But the Wave feature.
I don't like anything about them. I've done 2 videos about how I don't like anything about them.
Yeah, I know you're not a fan of Emerson's, but I love the Wave. I love pulling the knife out of my pocket and bam, there it is. So I carry this knife with me all the time, and it's a freaking user, man. Like I could beat the hell out of this knife, and I love it. So
I always carried it, but it got to where I don't like the Emerson. I don't like the Wave feature. I prefer not to have a Wave feature. In all honesty, there's some knives that I have that it's cool on. Like I have it's okay with. Like I have a little karambit, and I don't have it here, but it's like that's like the pocket pistol of the knife world, and it snaps out, it waves out really nice, that Wave feature on it. But that's the only knife I would really want it on, because I want it to deploy like that every time. I've gotten to where I was like, I get too many like accidental deployments of a knife when I pull it out of my pocket with a Wave feature. Especially Cold Steel uses that great big thumb plate as opposed to an actual Wave feature, and it's really hard to pull a knife with one of those out of your pocket without it coming open, and you're like, oh shit. So, but I agree with you. I carry this all the time, and I use the shit out of it. And I paid way more fucking money than I should have. There's two.
Yeah, I don't actually own this knife, but I will own one in the future. But I love this knife. It's the Medford USMC Fighter Flipper.
Yeah,
that's the one we just gave away.
Who wound up winning that one?
Let me see. I've got the list right here.
Just in case they might be on here. Michael Morgan, what's going on here? Just a little bit of drinking and carrying on. And
a gentleman by the name of Matt.
Gentleman by the name of Matt. No further information.
No, I do have his last name here, I believe.
Oh, it's. So if you guys didn't notice, while he's talking about that, I'm sorry, what was it?
Matt Hanks.
Matt Hanks.
Yeah.
Cool. If you guys didn't notice, if somebody comes in and they're just harassing and spamming and things like that, I will block you. And I would imagine that the person that came in is the same person that was trying to talk about all the Chinese stuff in the last live feed when Russell was here and just made a new. It happens. I get them. I get people come in here. I would ask that if you're in here, this is for, I mean, if you want to have fun, that's fine. But like, you know, when somebody tells you to stop, stop. Just like I said, it's my house, my rules. This is my guest. I mean, you get no one was doing anything really directed towards Justin, but still.
Greg, we do long sleeves, we do sweatshirts, we do hats. We could print on anything. So if you had a crazy ass idea, we could do it.
I want crazy sharp on my ball sack.
Give me your ball sack.
I have to drive up there for that. So, what color crayon tastes best there, Jarhead?
You know, unfortunately, my answer is going to be the same as
I know.
as Dave. You know, it's funny. The first time I heard somebody mention eating crayons, I actually didn't know what they were talking about, because that was never something that wasn't a thing. Like I had never heard of that before, and then I found out that that's like a new thing for Marines, that they eat crayons. Yeah, I have.
Because calling them window lickers apparently is not socially acceptable anymore.
No, we you know, we've been called a lot of things through the years, right? When I was in, the big thing was that we eat babies. That was the biggest thing when I was in.
I don't know. I've seen the big green eating machine on the ship. It wouldn't surprise me if you threw a baby in front of you. All teach that it would be a.
Michael had a question about hemp.
I saw that. And I was going to pop it up there. I just saw it about the time you just said something about it.
I'm guessing you're talking about like fiber light, like to light it on fire. We have explored it. Kind of a long story short, I don't even know how to say this.
Well, I don't know. I actually have I have 2 pairs of hemp fiber socks and a hemp shirt, and it actually is like if you can actually get cold in it. Like it's like the bamboo sheets. It wicks away moisture so fast. That may be what he's talking about. I'm not sure.
Yeah, if you're talking about like printing for shirts on hemp, like hemp natural apparel, we haven't tried it, but I know we could do it. That's not a problem. We could print on anything. But if you're talking about fire starting material, we've looked at a lot of things. But the wood fiber that we use, that we process, is just, it works great. You know, no reason to change it.
All right. So, okay.
Yeah, sorry, Mike, I don't have a favorite color crayon because we didn't eat crayons when I was in the Marine Corps.
It was filling time. I just thought I'd ask a question. All right. If you only could pick one knife for the rest of your life. Now that doesn't mean like you have this knife and that's the only knife. Like this is a knife that like you could only buy that knife to replace that knife. Like what knife would you have that would meet all of your requirements for the rest of your life?
Is it a knife that I currently own now, or?
Doesn't matter. It just whatever you think.
Probably Medford Praetorian Swift. So I'm not, because the regular Praetorian is too big of a knife.
Yeah, it's no joke.
Even this realistically is too big of a knife. Like I don't know, like this thing weighs like 2 pounds. So it's cool as hell, but you know it's not necessarily like practical or realistic. And same thing for the Praetorian, but the Praetorian Swift is like a slimmer, smaller version.
So that's like the scaled down, not quite as.
Well, they've got like the Praetorian Micro and the Praetorian G. They got a couple different smaller ones, but the Praetorian Swift, it has actually it's a button lock. The regular Praetorian is a frame lock, but the Praetorian Swift, it has a button lock.
Yeah,
and it's thinner and a little bit. It's just scaled down all the way. That's like one of my Grail knives. And then, as far as like thinking about only having that knife for the rest of my life, I would want something that's just heavy use. And I can't think of much heavier use besides a Medford, or a cold steel of some sort.
I feel about Medfords the way Mike feels about Emerson's. I actually don't have an issue with Medford knives, Jeremy. I think you guys have heard me say it. I actually like Greg. I find Greg humorous if you can catch him in a good mood. But the thing that really drives me nuts about Greg is he's so bipolar when it comes to his attitude. Like I've seen him at knife shows where he's just the nicest guy and wants to talk to everybody. And I've also seen him at knife shows where a handful of Marines come up and are like, "Hey, we wanted to ask you about this knife." It's because they wanted to talk to Medford because he's a Marine and he's a Marine making knives. And they just kind of wanted, and he literally looked at this. Nico was there with me. This was a Blade Show West up in Portland. Literally looked at these Marines and go, "I'm not here to answer your questions. Either buy a knife or get out of here." And I was like, "Way to go, Greg. Way to go. That's like your customer base right there. Those are jarheads that you just shoot out and sent away." So, I mean, Greg's a good guy if you can catch him on a day that he's not riding cotton.
I've got a pretty good relationship with Greg. I like him a lot.
I do too. But just like you just never know which Greg you're going to get when you talk to him at a show. If things are going well at the table, it's great, Greg. If things are going crappy at the table, you're better to talk to the big tall guy, Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff's cool too.
Yeah, Jeff's really cool. Hey, an 80-15.
Yeah. It's a cool knife.
I'm not as big a fan of the Scorpion lock. Now, that's not a horrible locking system. I know a lot of guys like it. I'm not a big fan of the Scorpion lock. I like the 80-20 with the Shark lock. That's a winner in my book. Like I almost didn't send it back.
There's the Smooth Criminal. Medford.
Yeah. I've gotten to handle a couple of those. I didn't have it in long enough. The guy sent it in for sharpening, and I just didn't have enough time to shoot a video. He needed it. He wanted it back rapidly. I do like that one. Scorpion lock is good fun. I dig it.
Funny is I think we all probably feel the same way about the original owner of Cold Steel, Lynn Thompson. He's a psycho.
Yeah, Lynn.
I've never been a fan of Lynn, but I've been a huge fan of Andrew Demko for a long time.
See, I love Lynn. I love to get to talk to Lynn. That dude is fucking crazier than shit. It's so much fun to talk to Lynn. That dude is crazier than any. He's crazier than a shithouse rat. Yeah, he's nuts. I love it. I love it. What was this? Have the background would love to have hollow. Which are we talking about? 2A Dave knife are you talking about there? And I got news for you. There's a guy that's going to be on not this Friday, but the Friday after, who does a bunch of regrinds. His name is John, and he owns a company called BGM Knives. And if you have a knife that's not hollow ground and you would like it to be hollow ground, he's done some of the best hollow regrinds I've ever seen. Like you can't tell that it was a regrind. It looks like it came from the factory that way. Shop Cat's still avoiding me. He came in twice, looked at me, was like, stepped on my tail, dick bag. So, all right. What is your favorite? Now I asked Russell this last week, and he was like, on Friday, and he was like, I don't have it. What's like? You're not going to get out with the like, I like all movies because they're artful, and you're not going to get to toe that gray line. I let him get away with it because he's a little short guy. He was afraid of everyone. But what is your favorite movie?
I have one. I have one definitely, but I do need to preface this by saying that like I'm the worst guy when it comes to movies. I just don't have time for them, because I'm unbelievably busy. I
You and
wake
I,
up at
the
4 in the
businesses that you
morning.
and I run are different. I spend my entire day sharpening knives and watching movies. So I mean, yeah, I get it. It's a completely different thing.
So like, yeah, I'm the guy that people ask like, oh, this actor, he was in that one movie. Like, I have no idea what the hell anybody's talking about. I don't know any of these people. So movies is just not my thing. But my favorite movie of all time has got to be Count of Monte Cristo.
That is a good movie. Are you talking about the old one, or are you talking about the new one that he did a few years ago?
It's more than a few years ago. It's probably 15 years ago. But yeah, nah. I absolutely love the man's dedication to revenge and how he is so calculated in serving up that revenge and dedicated to it. Yeah, I just love that.
So this is kind of funny because we were talking about Blazing Saddles the other day, and I mentioned badges. We don't need no stinking badges, and everyone thought I was quoting the Treasure of the Sierra Madre. I wasn't. Way to go to recycle it. Way to go to recycle it. So I've said it. My favorite movie is actually Grosse Point Blank, and it had a lot of reasons, but most of it is because it's like the first kind of actual action movie that John Cusack did, and everybody's like, oh wow, like he did he's an assassin, and there was like one fight scene. But the funny thing is, like, I said it last week, he skirted around doing like action movies because he's afraid to be typecast, because he would be so good at it because he's a 5th degree black belt and he studies kickboxing under Betty the Jet, the 8-time world champion kickboxer. And I was like, I didn't know that. And all of a sudden I was like watching Grosse Point Blank, and there's that one fight scene at the school where he kills a dude with a pin. And I'm like, wow, he really, I've taken martial arts my whole life. And I was like, wow, he's really good. Those moves, and his head movement, it just seems really natural. And then I find out he's a 5th degree freaking black belt. Grosse Point Blank is awesome. It's a good. Which one was this? Who said? Okay, what's the good one? I don't. Oh, The Wraith. There's a good movie right there. The Wraith. I don't know if you ever seen. That's an old Charlie Sheen movie where he comes back. He was murdered and he comes back as a ghost with a kick-ass car to kill the people that killed him. I was like, so all right. So did you get white out in your beard? That was my next question. And since we've already established that it's just because you're old, now we're going to say, what is the most expensive knife you've ever purchased? And I don't mean the one that you got for the giveaway, like your own personal use knife. What's the most expensive knife you purchased?
I'm trying to think of what the price. I don't actually pay attention much to the prices, to be honest.
Yeah, neither do I. That's what pisses my wife off. She's like, "You spent how much?" I was like, "I really didn't look. I just clicked buy."
I wanted it, so I bought it. It's got to be. I would imagine it's either one of the Medfords that I have, or Bark River. But I do not remember how much I paid for those Bark Rivers. Yeah, it's either a Bark River or a Medford.
Medfords aren't cheap at all by any long stretch, but they're also not like. They're also one of those ones that's not like crazy expensive. Like there's knives out there like $7,000-8,000. But I can honestly say, if I wouldn't pass up being given a Medford. But I don't think I'd buy one. I just don't think that, like, I like Greg, I like his knives, and I like his company. I just don't think that they're just not the kind of knives that I would carry. And a lot of it was because for so long they were those big, bulky, super thick, not really that useful. So I mean, I'm going to Blade Show West. We're going to be there. I'm pretty sure there's going to be somebody from the Medford company there, probably Jeff or Greg. I want to look at some of the newer stuff because, it's been a couple years since I've been to a show, since the COVID pandemic started to screw this stuff all up.
I think my next Medford I want to buy is a gentleman jack. I'm a big fan of like modern traditionals, like old traditional friction folder with modern materials.
That's
like right up my alley.
Well, that's kind of why I like this EWC, because while it flips open, it is simply a non-locking. It's like a slip joint with a double detent.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it because this actually gets carried a lot, like when I'm not doing anything and I'm kind of just like, I need a little knife to throw in like a pair of shorts or something here around the house. So I get exactly what you're saying. I really like the idea of that. I've got a lot of traditional slip points as well. They're all in a box still in the downstairs bathroom. I have an entire set of cupboards that is like my overflow for all the stuff. She's like, look, I don't want to see. My wife and I made a deal when we moved into this place, and I moved my shop out to the garage, and I moved all this stuff. There's no more like just knives on every horizontal surface in the house. Like, she would get mad because on the kitchen counter, on the kitchen table, on the coffee table, on the bedstand, on the bathroom counter, there's just knives everywhere. So I've limited my sprawl to this one individual room, which just happens to be the garage.
Yeah, my sprawl is my desk here in my office, and then at the house I've got my like dump tray where my pocket dump tray.
Yeah.
But then everything else.
I still put like whatever knife I'm carrying goes on my dresser before I go to bed.
Everything else at home, it's all, very nicely put in Pelican cases.
So that's what I was going to ask you. Like, you've got a pretty good collection. How many knives do you think you had? Oh, let me answer this for Sea Snake or Gent. Which one do I like more, Mike? I'm always going to go with a fixed blade because, especially after I started working construction, I really realized how convenient it was to have a little fixed blade, which really made me push harder to get the production Sea Snake done because, I'd already had the custom ones that I'd made. But I would have to say that nothing against the Gent. It's a great knife, but it's just a lot easier to use a fixed blade while you've got gloves on at a work site. So
hey, Justin, I don't know what image lock is. Mike, do you know what image lock is?
A what?
Justin asked if I've ever tried image lock. I don't know what that is.
Are we talking about knives, Justin, or are we talking about shirts?
But as far as how many knives I own, I actually don't know. It's funny. I've like rebought knives that I forgot I even owned, and then I'm like, oh, yeah, I already have one of those.
I have two of these now. I did the same thing. Yeah. So I bought one because I didn't have it. I bought one because I thought I didn't have one, and I was doing a video about it. And so I bought this one and realized as we were moving and packing stuff up that I had one in a drawer and just didn't realize it.
Yeah, so I don't know the answer to that one.
I don't either. I'm not seeing. I'm looking here. Greg Gutfield, the Microtech with the big belly. This one? My DOC? Is that what you're talking about?
Mike, you do own a knife, Mike, that I'm totally jealous of, that I want so bad.
And I don't know anyone who counts their knives. I'll tell you who counts my knives. My fucking wife does. She's like, you've got too many. I was like, were you counting? She's like, I don't have to. There's just too many.
Yeah, no, you're Chavez. I've been a fan of Chavez for a long time. I don't own any of their knives. Yep.
This isn't an actual Chavez. This was one of the production runs that he did with React. This is the Ultramar Street. It's the smaller version of the 228, 229. I thought I wanted the big version, and then I got this one I traded my buddy Tino this and some money for another knife I had was way more expensive than this. And I realized real quick, I was like, I don't want the big one anymore. This is a much better shape. The only thing I would like to say is that I wish that the tip was not as thick. That's what she said, but it doesn't cut as well. This hollow part cuts really, really well because it's nice thin, but this is very blunt and thick, and it doesn't really cut very well. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's a good thing, Shane, because they don't make those anymore. So, is this at my homework? I can't read them. I kick it over here. I was just trying to read this. They keep moving. It doesn't have a second later. It's just single. I don't know what they're talking about. I think they're having a side conversation. So that's your most expensive knife ever purchased. Most expensive knife I've purchased. I just picked them out. Well, that's my Norseman. I don't know what I did with it. I had it a second ago. I'll probably hear it go clattering to the floor when
How about this one? How about this one? What's the most expensive knife you purchased as a gift for somebody else?
I had it in my hand. I'm a dumbass. Most expensive knife I purchased as a gift for someone else. I bought my father a full handmade custom Scandinavian style knife with a fire steel with elk antler handles and black dyed horse leather sheath, and I believe I paid $1,700 for that. But that was for my dad. That was just something I got for my dad, and I don't know. I don't keep track of it. Like, I don't think of, like, I've gotten knives as gifts from people, but I can't really think of any of them that I really have spent like that much money on. That's the one that stands out. Like, was that custom hand hammered, hand forged one.
Me and Johnny regularly buy each other $300 plus knives. It's kind of a thing that happens a couple times a year at least.
Jesus. I need to be better friends with you guys. I'll tell you the best gift knife I ever had, and one of the two individuals is here. This was a gift from Nico and Tino. They got Elliot to hand carve this Master Blaster for me, and do it up the way I would want it. And that's a one of a kind hand carved Ferrum Forge Master Blaster. I'll bring it in.
Greg asked about multi-tools. I love multi-tools. Leatherman's kind of the standard. I have a Leatherman Signal. I think that's the one that comes with a little mini ferrocerium rod in it and stuff like that. It's skeletonized.
I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, it's just not the real big one.
Yeah. I love that one. And then John, of course, had to like step up, get something better than me. So he ended up getting this freaking this charge. It's got what is it? Is it S30? S30? Yeah, S30 blade and stuff like that. It's
so he likes chippy steel. Gotcha.
Yeah, Mike would have a smart ass thing to say about
it. It does chip. I've never had a knife in S30V that didn't chip. Like, it chips really easily. I mean, it's better. It's better quality steel than a lot of other steels. But yeah, just tell him, I was like, oh, cool. You stepped it up the game and bought a chippy super steel.
See you, Zach. I think Zach's taking off.
Later, Zach. Take it easy. Guys, I wanted to have Shopcat come in, but it doesn't look like Shopcat's coming. He keeps looking at me. He keeps giving me the dirty eye. I stepped on his tail, and there's big tuft of hair laying on the floor. I really feel bad. I don't think we're going to get to see Shopcat tonight. I feel bad. Well, I had one here, but we're going to skip it because it's stupid. That's what happens a lot of times when I do something. I'm like, that's a good idea. Too bad it sucks.
No, ask me now that you said it. You have to ask.
That's about your beard again. I'm like, it's like, seriously, the beard. What the fuck?
Yeah, what do you want to know about the beard?
Yeah, seriously. Like, you can buy Get Young. They sell it. Like, I don't need it. Like, I only have like one little patch, a little bit of white, but like they sell something. You just comb it in. You just comb that Get Young in. But so we're at 1 hour.
I worked hard for all this gray hair, man.
You worked hard for it.
My dad always said gray hair means wisdom.
You know what my dad always told me? Anybody tells you that's full of shit. I see likes need some smashing. Yeah, guys, I can't see how many likes. That's why you don't hear me complaining. That's why you don't hear me say anything. And there's a lot of. I had somebody say it the other day, like, "Oh, you should push super chat. You should push the super chat." I'm not gonna push the super chat. My name's not Dark Side Phil, where I'm gonna throw a temper tantrum because people are dropping super chats or tips. He's a Twitch streamer. I watched a video the other day, and he just was having a fit. And I'm like, I don't want to be that streamer. There's like 6 likes missing. Well, there's only 31 people here, so we'll see.
Volk asked if we could make a shirt with Bo Derek's image from the movie 10. I've never seen the movie 10.
I'll find
I've heard the name Bo Derek before, but I don't know any of this stuff. But to answer the question, we could print anything on a shirt.
That's what I want. I just want to send you I just want anything, because he said he could print anything on a shirt. I'll send you a picture of Bo Derek's body, and then you just have to put my face on it, and we'll send it to him.
Okay.
Like, here's a gift. Who was it? Yeah. We'll do the PDM with the cowboy hat on Bo Derek's body. She was hot in that flick, and that's some old guy. I know there's a bunch of young guys going in here like, talking about. She was hot. Like, I had that picture hanging up on my wall. There was a lot of really crunchy socks because of it. So now we've reached the point of evening. Guys, I am going to try and keep this to just right at 2 hours. I kind of want to end like right at 2 hours because the 4-hour live feed, I felt like crap the next day. I was pretty worn out. So now we reach story time. So I want you to think back. You told us the So Clean story. You got to find another one that's kind of at that same kind of. We got to keep it going. We got to have another story because that was pretty epic. So I'll let you think about it for a second.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Real quick because I had one in the chamber, ready to go. So I was at a 5-inch gun school. And so that was my MOS, and I worked with a handful of kids. And so I had a kid that was there, and he was in my class, and he shows up the first 3 days, and then he kind of made friends with me. I was an E6, he was an E5, but it was school, and really you can't go out and do anything by yourself. So I had a little bar that I would walk to just right outside the base. It was a long walk, but I didn't mind. I didn't realize it was in a crappy neighborhood. And so we'd go to this little bar every fucking evening after school, and I'd have a couple drinks, and then we'd head back. And, it was a long walk, so you got to come back early, and it was way back to the schoolhouse side, and the gates were closed. So one night, we'd been going there for 6 weeks. It's like a 5-6 month school. And so Banks comes by. He's like, "Hey, do you want to go out to that bar?" And I was like, "Bro, I've got because as class leader, I still had things that I had to do, because I had to write. We had watches. I was a watch committee. I was section leader for the watch bill for the quarterdeck watch at the schoolhouse. So I had things I had to do. And we stood duty, and I'm like, "Yeah, I can't go tonight, man. I got to write a watch bill, and I got a couple things I got to do, and we got to study. We got the test tomorrow." He goes, "Well, I'm good for the test tomorrow." He's like, "I'm going out to that little bar." And I was like, "Be careful. You're going out by yourself. It's not recommended, but I just can't go with you." I was like, "You're like an E5. You should be fine. So get ready. Get up the next morning." And usually he was like the first person. He was in the class before I was. And he had already set up coffee. It was one of his responsibilities. He got the coffee pot in the classroom going. We have coffee. And I was like, where's Banks? So, come in and sit down. I get my stuff all out, and I made the coffee, and in comes my class leader, or the instructor, and he goes, "Hey, we're probably not going to have class today." He's like, "We got to take care. We got to figure out what's going on. Banks is in the hospital." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, apparently he went out to some little bar out here, like right out here, and he was fucking sitting there, and some chick asked him to dance. He starts dancing with this girl, and her boyfriend came in and beat him almost to death." And I was like, "What?" And I didn't want to say anything. I can't really say anything because the instructor, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's weird." I hope he's okay, because I don't want to say that he told me he was going, and I should have went with him because I shouldn't let him go by himself. Now he's in the hospital because he almost got beat to death, and I'm like, and so I went to Balboa. So I go with the instructor, and we didn't have class that day because the instructor was like, "Yeah, we have to take care of all this. Like, that's my student. You're the class leader. We got to take care of all this." This kid never said word one about telling me he was going. He didn't tell anyone. And we got to the hospital, and I looked at this kid, and I would never have wished this beating on my worst enemy. I'm like, he looked like the bottom of an old shoe, and I'm like, oh my God, that dude beats you almost to death. And I was like, and he's just a little guy too. And I was like, sorry, my bad. He got that dog shit kicked out of him that night. And the chick asked him to dance. This guy didn't care. Came in and saw some dude dancing with his girl and just beat the fuck out of him.
Yep. I got a couple short ones. One of them was at MCT training, Marine Combat Training.
Uh-huh.
So in the Marine Corps, you go to boot camp, graduate boot camp. Then you go to, if you're a grunt, you go to grunt school. Forget what it's called. If you're not a grunt, then you go to Marine Combat Training. It's like a very slimmed down version of grunt school.
Are you talking about the basic infantryman school that they have to? Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone else is not a grunt goes to MCT training. You learn just basic rules of, war fighting or whatever. And so when we're there, we throw a grenade, and we march up to hump up to the grenade range, and they got a bleacher section out there. You sit in the bleachers. They give you the rundown of how a grenade works, and then you start going off row by row to the fake grenade range, so you could throw a fake grenade.
It's really just a rock with a string and a keychain thing tied to it. Yeah.
No, it's much better than that. I mean, it's an actual grenade, and it's got kind of like a little firecracker in the bottom of it, and it's got a pin, and then you pull the pin, you do all that stuff, you throw it, and then it pops.
Sorry, that wasn't for you. I basically had to block. I think I got a guy that just wants to come in and just be abusive and shit in the comments, so I blocked him. And Nico, as my channel manager, if you're still here, if that guy pops up again, make sure that you do a permanent ban on him, please.
So then after you do the fake, you throw the fake one, then you go up the hill to the real grenade range, and they give you a real grenade, and then you go and you throw the real grenade. You threw a grenade, and yeah, okay. It's all really cool. The power.
The whole thing, you'd think you actually throw it. You don't throw it like a baseball. It's more like.
Yeah.
It
Just
the
noise, and it echoed through the mountains, and it was just cool. The whole thing was cool.
Wow.
And so anyway, after you're done throwing your grenade, then you come back down the hill and you sit in the bleachers and you just wait for everybody to finish. Well, there was this dude. We didn't know what was all happening when it was happening, but afterward we figured it out. There's this dude who was afraid. He was deathly afraid of the idea of holding a freaking grenade in his hand and throwing it. So after he did the tester grenade, there's guys going back and forth and up the hill and coming back down from the hill, he just went and sat back down in the bleachers because he was afraid to throw the grenade. And he didn't know that up at the top of the hill, when they gave you your grenade, you signed off for your grenade. And he didn't know that because he never went up the hill. And so we get done. We're all sitting in the bleachers. Freaking the instructor comes out, and he's like, "Did everybody throw a grenade? If you didn't throw a grenade, let us know so we can have you just run up there and go throw the grenade real quick." Nobody moved. He's like, "All right, so I'm just going to ask you guys one more time. Everybody here threw the grenade?" And we didn't know why he was even asking. Of course we all threw the grenade. What's the problem?
What pussy doesn't want to throw a grenade? Come on. I've lived my entire life for this moment.
And then he has his paper in his hand, which is like the sign-off sheet. And he's like, private first class, whoever. He's like, come over here. So he comes out of the freaking bleachers, and the instructor, they're all talking privately. We didn't know what was going on. And then he just left. They took him, they loaded him up in the truck and took him. And I think he got reset and he had to start all over again. But and he probably got in trouble for lying or whatever. But just the fact that this guy was afraid to throw the grenade, and it was just kind of mind blowing how that even happened. Like, why would have that have happened? But
I got a grenade story for you, because we got time. I mean, we got like 30 minutes, and we can run this a little longer if we want. I just don't want it to be like midnight when we get done with this again.
Yeah.
So we were firing. We had, well, actually, I'll tell you, I've got a couple stories. We can go back and forth with a couple short ones. So we were firing the Mark 79. You know, the break open single shot grenade launcher. And we're firing the 79s off the fantail of the ship, which is for those of you who've never been in the Navy, that's the square end at the back. The bow is the pointy end at the front. And if you're facing the front, P-O-R-T, L-E-F-T, that's the left side. Starboard, got a lot more letters, that's the right. So now we've established where we're at on the ship, right? So we're at the fantail, square part at the back. And we're shooting, and we're just doing a fan fire, and we're shooting. And so we had, the thing with ammunition is, in the Navy, you have a training allowance, but if you don't fire all of that training allowance for the year, they subtract from, they make your training allowance less. Like, you didn't use it, so you always want to use your training allowance. And we were like, oh well, we've got all these grenades we got to fire, and we're not letting anybody but the gunner's mates fire it. So we just were up there and we're firing grenades. But we were firing them, and when it would hit the water, they wouldn't go off. So what GM1 started doing, my boss, not me, not this GM1, I was still at GM3. No, I wasn't with GM3. I think I was the E3. So he started firing the M79, the Mark 79 grenades just right off the fantail, and they start exploding. We're like, oh, that's the way to do it right there. So we're up there and we're shooting, and I'm standing there, and there's GM3 Palmer, and so GM1 had his grenades that he was going to fire, and he fired one, and he turns around, and GM3 Palmer is right next to him. He's like, God damn it, Dave, just hang on a second. He's like, I thought Dave got tired of me, like Bogart in the grenade launcher, and punched me, and all of a sudden we realized there's just blood just pouring out of his face. This dude was firing the grenades so close that he caught a piece of shrapnel, and it went in here in his lip, and it followed his jawline all the way up. Like, it hit the bone and followed the bone all the way up here. He's like, oh shit. And I mean, he's just like pouring blood. And they had to go in, because we had our own dental department. So they did dental surgery on it. So they numb him all up, and they find it. They had to go in all the way back, like behind his wisdom teeth, and pull out this piece of twisted metal that had went in like right here and went all the way up his jawline. And he was like, he was all swollen up. He got a big infection. He was like, we're never firing grenades again. I was like, why? We weren't the ones that screwed up. Like, we did it safely. We were just shooting it. You're the one that decided to just fire it right off the ass of the boat. You're the one that got hurt. Why we got to suffer? Because you're stupid. We never had to fire a grenade launcher. Yeah.
So in boot camp, you had mentioned it in the last live stream. Oh no, Dave had mentioned the last live stream. We whenever somebody comes into the squad bay that we don't know who they are, if it's another drill instructor or if it's another recruit or whatever, we yell "spy on deck," and so
we always yelled intruder on deck.
Yeah. So the reason for that is because most of the time when we're just hanging, like doing random dumb crap in the squad bay, the drill instructors are inside the DI hut, so they're in their own room. That they don't know what's going on out there. So if somebody comes into the squad bay, the drill instructor wants to know about it. So we yell "spy on deck." And Greg, I was in San Diego for boot camp, and so one day was a Sunday. You have like a couple hours to yourself. This civilian, this guy walks into our to our squad base. So we yell, "Spy on deck!" Drill instructor comes out, and he's like, the guy's standing like in the doorway, and he's like, drill instructor's like, "Can I help you with something?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm here to get my son." And all of us were like, "What? Like, oh, is this for real?" And I think the drill instructor felt the same way. He was like, "Excuse me, what are you here for?" He's like, "I'm here to get my."
Wait, okay. Well, I'll say that. I'm so confused right at the moment.
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know how he got on base. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm here to get my son. I'm not leaving without my son." And the drill instructor staff started pulling him. He's like a 6'6", 300-pound black dude.
I'm pretty sure you are leaving without your son.
Yeah, he's like, "Well, then, let me get this straight. You came here to get your son?" And he's like, "Yeah, I came to get my son."
Is he knife handing him the whole time? He's knife handing him the whole time, right?
Oh yeah. And his son, which was one of the recruits, starts walking towards the front door, towards his dad. And the drill instructor sees him out of the corner of his eye, and he freaking like snaps. He's like, "Get back online right now." And the freaking recruit stopped in his tracks and just like walked back to his bunk. And then the drill instructor's like, "We've just got a misunderstanding here. Number one, he's not your son. He's my son. Number two, you're going to leave right now, or else it's going to be a bad day for you." And all of us are like, that's the first time in all of boot camp where you're like, "Oh, dude, that's my dog. That's my drill instructor. You know, he's like standing up for us or whatever. Like, we're going to see my drill instructor get down with somebody right now." And the guy, he's like, "No, I don't care what you're going to do. I'm not leaving here without my son." The drill instructor's like, he starts walking towards the dude, and he's like, "Listen, you need to leave my squad bay right now. You're not taking your son. Get out of here." And he ended up having to call the MPs. The MPs came and took the guy away. But yeah, I don't know how he got on base. I don't know anything. And we never saw the dad again. The recruit ended up, staying with us, and he graduated as a Marine and all that stuff. But it was just a crazy thing to see, like this dude try to come and take his son out of boot camp.
So I never had like that drill instructor moment like that. I mean, I was a pretty good recruit. I never had an issue with we didn't call them DIs. They were our recruit commander. And Chief Lee, I mean, he was tough, but I had grown up on a farm, so I was used to tough. My grandfather treated me the same way. I was like, it's like being on a farm, except it's easier. Yeah. I just don't.
Later, Johnny.
Later, John.
Mike says later.
See you later.
So I mean, I never really had problems because being in boot camp was like being on the farm and having my grandfather yell at me on the farm, except there just wasn't as much work. It's just, I was like, wow, this is all I got to do. This is cake. But so I never had that. But then I got to my first ship, and we had this senior chief who I swear to God was freaking insane. Like there was something wrong up here, like something terribly wrong with that gentleman. Like there was something that wasn't connected properly. And so he was famous for, like, he tried to choke a dude out on the forecastle. So guys, that's on the pointy part of the boat. That's where we do see an anchor. That's where the anchors come out. That's the forecastle. It's not forecastle. It's forecastle. It's up on the pointy part, like the fantails, the back. Okay, we got it. So anyway, he choked the dude out, like choked him, like tried to kill him, and they had to stop him. Well, one time, because I was in deck department, and so we had this whites inspection, right? And everybody's there in their whites, and that was change command. And the senior chief was going to inspect us before the change of command, when the captain and everybody, and it's hot. It's the summer in southern Japan, and we're out, and there's no wind, and it's just horrible. And so we all get into ranks. We're in our height line. Of course, I'm a height line, so I'm way back in the back on one end, and I can see everything that's going on. And so this senior chief's going up and down the ranks, and I saw this kid come out, and he was wearing his dress yellows. I don't know if he decided that he was gonna fucking smoke on the ship and like blow it into the fucking garment bag or what he did, but they were yellow. It looked like he'd been pissing on them for months. And this kid shows up like that. And I saw him stand out and I was like, and everyone's like, just don't pay attention, don't pay attention. Pretend you didn't even acknowledge it. So senior chief was walking up and down the rows, and this kid's like 3 rows in, and we're all just like, don't let senior chief let him catch us like looking, but I want to see what happens. So he gets up and he gets to this kid, and he stops, and he looks at him, and he does this, Justin, he goes, and he starts to turn, and he hit this kid so hard that it sounded like a firecracker went off. And that kid, the only sound that kid made was all the way to the ground. He's like, somebody pick that piece of shit up and get him out of my ranks and readjust these lines. We're like, whatever you say, senior chief, you got it. I was like, he's going to kill someone today. It was the craziest shit. That dude was literally, I can't even think of the guy's name now. I'd have to ask my cousin.
We had we had. Do you know what guard mount is?
Yep, I do. I did military. I was 95-45 for a while. I worked at the police department. I was military police for two or 3 years. I know exactly what you mean. And then you always get that one kid. Are we having down mount? I was like, get the fuck away from me! I'm gonna break your jaw.
We had guard mount every single day before our shift, and what if you guys don't know, guard mount is just basically an inspection of your uniform and just making sure you're ready to go. And we
details, who's doing what, who's standing what watch, who's going to go where, who to
ours was
all that shit.
Just a uniform inspection, just to cause pain to anybody's life.
You're talking when you were with the detail with the presidential.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry.
And the whole point really was that we represented the president of the United States. We were on TV, CNN, all that stuff. So they want to make sure that we all look good every single day. And so we had guard mount every single day. And when the new guys would come, they would just get hazed all to hell, man.
Of course.
So like guard mount was hard, especially as a new Marine. Guard mount sucked. But once you became, a senior Marine, then it was no big deal. But so we're standing in line, and the COG and the SOG, the corporal of the guard and the sergeant of the guard, they ran through and did guard mount. And Corporal Nolte, he was a mean ass Marine. He died in Afghanistan a couple of years after this, but he's a freaking a hero. But dude was a mean ass Marine, like to the max. He was mean to us because he wanted us to be the best Marines we possibly could be. That was really it. And so, man, we were in guard mount. And when they come through, they would step in front of you. They would inspect your uniform. They would ask you, your freaking general orders. They would ask you just random, like, Marine Corps facts and knowledge and stuff. And he steps. I'm standing here. The guy next to me is a brand new, like, private first class, just got to the unit. And Nolte stands in front of him, and he's inspecting him. He's asking him the questions. The kid's doing a good job. Like, he's answering all the questions right. And Corporal Nolte wanted to get on this guy somehow. So and the guy was answering all the questions. So, like, he had nothing to, like, mess with him on. So then he decided to hit him with this off the wall question that, like, he's never asked anybody before. But so we were MPs. So we had, like, the duty belt. We had our gun and our freaking side handle baton and our handcuffs and all the stuff. And he looks down and he's like, what's the max? Because they'll ask you like the maximum effective range of your M9. Like, they'll ask you just random facts about the gear that you're carrying.
What is the maximum effective range of an M9?
45 meters.
What is it in yards?
I don't remember. I don't know.
I don't either. I know that you might not be. I know you're in the ballpark with the meters.
Anyway, he asked the dude, he's like, "You got a sign-out baton there?" And he's like, "Yes, Corporal." He's like, "What's the maximum effective range of the sign-out baton?" And the kid doesn't know what to say. He's like,
6 feet.
Well, it's called a PR-24.
Yeah.
Right? Because 24 inches long. So he hits him with that. He's like, 24 inches. He's like, "You mean to tell me if I'm standing 25 inches away from you, you can't hit me with that damn thing?" And he's like, and he just doesn't know how to answer the question. And Corporal Nolte's like getting on him. He's like, "What is the maximum effective range of a PR-24? You mean to tell me you're carrying this weapon, you don't know the maximum effective range?" And he's like not even giving the guy an opportunity to talk. And now this kid is all flustered and is scared and he doesn't know what to say. And then Corporal Nolte like grabs it out of his like holster, and he's holding it in front of his face. He's like, "Tell me what the maximum effective range of this PR-24." And he's like, I don't know, Corporal." And then Corporal Nolte turns around and like crow hops and throws it across this field, and it hits the freaking parking lot across the field and slides like underneath a bunch of cars and shit. And he's like, "That's the maximum effective range of PR-24. It's like, go freaking get that thing back." And the kid ran over there. It was freaking hilarious. The other thing that we used to do, I'm so curious if you had any of these things you would do on a ship.
Oh, I got a story for you about ship stuff. Okay.
We would get the new guys. So when you first get to the presidential unit, you do not have your top secret clearance yet. You're a white badge. It just means that you're in the process of getting cleared, but you're not cleared yet. It takes about 3 months for them to process your clearance, and then you get a blue badge.
And then it's an interim, and it takes about another 5 months after that to get your solid.
Well, and actually, no. Once you got your blue badge, you were done. You were good.
I had a lot of kids. That were on an interim secret.
I don't know anything about that. I just know that for about 3 months, you got a white badge, and you really can't do anything except stand like the posts on the outside of the perimeter or whatever. Like do all the shitty stuff. You can't go around the president's helicopter. You can't go into the like hangar 1 where the president's helicopters are. You can't do anything. You can't be around the president or nothing like that. You're just really standing guard on the back gate or whatever. And we would whenever we got bored, you know how it is, man, when you get bored. We would go up to the new guy and we'd tell him, be like, "Hey, you see the president's helicopter sitting right over there?" And like they're not even really allowed to like look.
Hey, I can't look at that. Look at it.
They can like look at that helicopter, but you can't be like looking, trying to see inside of the hangar or anything like that. Like you'll get in trouble for that. And so we're like, "Hey, you see the president's helicopter sitting right there?" And they're like, and there'll be like 4 of the president's helicopters sitting there. He's like, "Well, like which one?" Like the first one right there. You see that one right there? Yeah. We have to move that helicopter right now. It is like massively important. We have to move that helicopter right now.
It is imperative that helicopter is not there in 5 minutes.
Yes. But the keys to the helicopter are in Building J. And Building J would be like all the way down the flight line, like a half a mile away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Hey, go in there, talk to Staff Sergeant Johnson, get the keys to that helicopter. He'll know exactly which keys they are. Tell him that you need the keys because we got to move the helicopter right now." And he would be all pumped. He gets to do something for the president's helicopter, So he's like, "Oh, roger that." And he'd freaking take off like a half mile down the flight line. We'd just stand there and watch him. He's just booking it.
Like a shot. He's booking it, right? Because it's got to happen right fucking now.
Right now. He wants to be the hero, And so he gets into Building J. Then we see him, go into the building, disappear for a second. He runs in there. Staff Sergeant Johnson knows exactly what's going on because this happens like once a month. And, you can imagine he runs in there. "Hey, Staff Sergeant Johnson, I was told I need to get the keys for that helicopter right over there, and you have them." And the Staff Sergeant Johnson's like, wait, which one? The first one or the second one? The first one, we need to move it right now. I need the keys. Wait, the keys to the first one? You need the keys to the first one. Yes, I need. Shit, I just gave the keys to that one to Corporal Dominguez over there in Building M. So then just a couple seconds later, you see this Marine like run out of building J and across the damn flight line, just booking it to building M to go talk to Corporal Dominguez or whatever. He gets into Corporal Dominguez, and then they do the same thing. And then you see this dude run out and run over to another building. And then like after he's ran like 4 miles trying to get the keys to that freaking helicopter, somebody will eventually feel sorry for him and be like, hey, Private First Class, I'm sorry that they made you do this, but helicopters don't have keys, brother. Like, it's not like a car. And then he would come back all pissed off that he ran 4 miles to go find some imaginary key.
You got a free workout out of it, right? We used to do the same thing. We'd send kids, so we would send kids to go get some GU-11 5H1T bullshit. And we send them to the aviation guys like, hey, go up to the flight deck. Tell them you got to get a bucket of GU-11 5H1T. We tell them to go get their ID-10T form, idiot form. You tell them to go get an overhead buffer. So the line, so you guys that weren't military don't know, like your gig line is the line that the seam of your shirt makes that goes all the way down to your fly, including your belt buckle. That's your gig line. You tell them, hey, I need you to go get me like fucking 100 yards of gig line, and we do all that stuff, right? But the best we ever had happen, and we've done it a bunch of times, we tell kids like, hey, I had this one kid, and I knew he was smart. He was a clever kid. And I was like, hey, go get me a bucket of steam. And he goes, bucket of steam. I was like, yeah, I need a steam sample from down in engineering. I want to make sure that like the steam that's running through the heating coils in here, we can't have anything in here. This is where all the guns are at. We got to make sure that it's low moisture steam. And he's looking at me and goes, steam sample, huh? I was like, yeah, you go get me a steam sample, have the rest of the day off because it's the last thing you got to do. And Chief's looking at me and we're giggling. And sure as shit, we were in Thailand. And so this kid comes up he comes up and he's got like a mason jar and it's full of steam. Like he opens it up. He'd gotten some dry ice. In Thailand, they package the food that comes on the ship in dry ice and you have to throw it out because you can't have it in the storerooms because it fills up with dry ice. He went to where they were throwing that food out, got dry ice, put it in a container, brought it up to us. And he hands it to me and I was like, and Chief looked at me and goes, put him on the beach. Give him the rest of the day off. He brought you a steam sample. He's like, we've never had a kid smart enough to figure one out yet. You better put him on the beach. I was like, go get your civilian clothes. Get the fuck out of here. I was like, I don't know what else to do. Like, hit the beach, Junior. Have a good day.
So we had recruit Tewksbury. Sounds just like his name. He's this skinny, almost like a buck-tooth cartoon character you see in like the, skinny.
You're being very nice, Justin. You're being very, very judgmental and mean. He might have been hung like a moose. Might have been,
but I'm trying to give you the picture of Tewksbury. Be honest with you, his recruiters failed him. Like he should have never been sent to boot camp.
I wasn't ready for that. I almost ruined my computer. I know exactly. Okay, you said, like, I had a mental image, but when you said that, absolutely, I knew exactly what you're talking about. When you said his recruiter failed him. Yeah. He had to hit that quota that month.
Yeah, he had no business joining Marine Corps boot camp. And there was no shot in hell that this guy was going to make it through here. And so we had there's a couple things that I'm going to have to explain. We have this thing called deck toweling. It's the way the only way we were able to mop our floors.
Yeah, I know exactly. We did the same thing. We did the same thing. You get down and you just.
Yep.
Yeah.
You like your towel. You run with your feet, but you're pushing the towel across the floor.
Exactly.
And we also had this thing that we called the mini grinder, where we drill outside, like on the parade deck.
The grinder.
We call it the grinder.
Yeah, we sent a kid to get keys for the grinder one time.
And when we couldn't, like when there was too many platoons out there practicing drill, or it was weather was.
Justin, go ahead and tell your story. I actually have to. My wife is waving at me. I have to go take her. So I will be back momentarily, and then I have a story as well.
Yeah. So whenever we couldn't go outside to practice drill on the actual grinder, we would set up the mini grinder inside of our platoon or inside of our squad bay, where we would the drill instructor would yell out, "Set up the mini grinder," and then we'd say, "Set up mini grinder, aye, sir." And we would basically take all the racks and shove them up against the wall, and then we'd take all the racks on the other side of the room and shove those up against the wall, so we had the biggest open space inside of our barracks, so that we could actually do like march inside of our barracks and practice these different, drills or whatever. So this particular morning, we get up and the drill instructor is getting us dressed. We weren't allowed to get dressed on our own. They would tell us, put on your pants now, and then they would count down 5, 4, 3, 2, and you had to quickly put on your pants before they got to 0. And we did that for every single piece of clothing that we put on. So he gets us out of the rack. We're in our skivvies or in our underwear, and we start getting dressed. And Tewksbury is not moving. He's just standing there. And I think he was telling us to put on a shirt. And we were all putting our shirts on, but Tewksbury was just standing there. So the drill instructor's like, "Tewksbury, put your damn shirt on." And the only thing Tewksbury would say is, "Recruit Tewksbury refuses to train." And this is how Tewksbury figured that he would get out of boot camp, is just by refusing to train. And so that went on for a while. The drill instructor was trying to talk to Tewksbury, and Recruit Tewksbury would not say anything except Recruit Tewksbury refused to train. So then, anyway, the drill instructor has to get us to the chow hall, because there's only one chow hall for all the platoons, and they actually have a schedule that's printed out in the morning that says like what time our platoon has the chow hall. And so it was early that morning. Like, we were one of the first platoons that was in the chow hall. So he's like, "Hey, everybody get dressed," because he had to get us to the freaking chow hall. Tewksbury's still standing there in his underwear. He won't say anything. We all leave. We go outside and we march down to the chow hall, go get breakfast, come back to the barracks. And Tewksbury's still standing there in his underwear. And now we have all the time in the world. We don't have to be anywhere until lunchtime. And the drill instructors think, well, maybe if I punish the platoon in front of Tewksbury, then Tewksbury will snap out of it and come back to reality or whatever. And so drill instructor says, "Set up the mini grinder." So we set up, "Aye, sir." So we freaking moved all the bunks and everything, and we set up the mini grinder. Then he goes outside. He puts a freaking water hose in through the window, and he sets a trash can on that end of the freaking barracks, and on this end of the barracks there's an empty trash can on each end. And then he tells us all to go get our deck towels. So we got our deck towels, and he turns the hose on and he starts freaking just flooding the whole barracks with the hose. And on top of that, he freaking went and got like Dawn dish soap, and he just opened up the whole bottle of had like 3-4 bottles of dish soap and was just pouring them down the freaking barracks. And he's flooding the barracks with water. And our job was to deck towel up all the moisture and squeeze it out into the freaking trash cans. And then we deck towel back, squeeze it out. And we were doing that for like a couple hours. And at first it was just the drill instructor was just on Tewksbury, like, look, everybody's dying because of you, like, get dressed, get a deck towel, help your platoon. And he just kept saying he refuses to train. And before long, after we started getting tired of this whole thing, recruits started like attacking him, and they had to have like 3 drill instructors standing in front of Tewksbury, like in between us and Tewksbury,
to keep you from murdering him.
Yeah, because it started to get real bad. Like, recruits were freaking running from all over the place to just freaking try to attack Tewksbury. And so the drill instructors were protecting him, and they were just flooding the freaking thing. And it was absolutely horrible. We did that for like 3 hours. And And then I think the drill instructors just realized that like it just wasn't going to work. And then we ended up having to go to lunch. So we did that all the way from morning chow
Just
to
soaking
lunch.
wet and nasty and covered with soapy water.
Yeah. And then when we came back, Tewksbury was gone. And we cleaned the barracks up, got everything set back up, all the racks put back into place, and we just continued on. We never heard from Tewksbury again, never saw him again until so we graduate boot camp on a Friday. On Thursday, before your Friday graduation, Thursday is called Visitors Thursday. And
that's when I always go get my gas by
yeah?
NCRD, because there's so many hot moms and girlfriends that are just running around that haven't seen their boyfriends or husbands or children in forever.
So on Visitor Thursday, you know, we're graduating tomorrow, and we're in our freaking dress blues, or I don't know, maybe our Charlies, I can't remember, but we're having a great time. Just spent the whole day with our family, walking them around, you know, MCR days, showing them all the stuff. Like, you know, I got killed right there in that pit, and I freaking, you know, almost died in that pit or whatever. And then we had to be back at our barracks, I think at like 5 o'clock or something. So me and a group of my buddies, we were walking back to the barracks, and right outside of our barracks, there's a big concrete pad out there, but then there's a couple like flower beds where there's trees, and there was a couple recruits like raking the flower beds just right outside of our barracks.
Yeah.
And when we got closer, one of those recruits was Tewksbury, and we're like, "Holy shit, Tewksbury!" And he's like, "Hey guys, what's up?" And like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm raking this flower bed. And we're like, yeah, I get that, but like you're still here? Like, I haven't seen you in 2.5 months. He's like, yeah, I'm actually starting boot camp on Monday. And he was like super excited about it.
What they kept him there that long?
Kept him there that long, and he was supposedly restarting boot camp that next Monday. And we were graduating that next day.
Jesus.
So he had already been there for 3 months, and he was about to start a brand new 3-month long boot camp.
We had a kid that got rolled back to my boot camp class, and it's just the same way in the Marines. Like if you get rolled back, you don't get rolled back to you don't get rolled back to a group that is like at the same level. It's not like they roll you. We always called it it's called ASMO, to be ASMO'd back, and I forget what that stands for, but what happens is you go back to day one. Like, it doesn't matter how far you are in progress. You go back to day one. You got to do everything all over.
That's not in Marine Corps boot camp. That's not the way it is, unless you got injured, unless you got hurt. But if you got sick or something, and you were like in the hospital for a couple days, then they would just roll you back to the next platoon, like 1 week behind.
This kid, exactly like you said, this kid was 2 days from graduation and broke his leg. And then was basically, he like worked in an admin position somewhere, like, because he was P days. He didn't even have uniforms yet, because he had uniforms, but he basically wasn't allowed to wear them. He had to go back to what they call P days. So this kid, for like until his leg healed, was like doing admin shit, and then got rolled back to day one in our boot camp class. Like, he got rolled back to day one, and he was like, "Bro, I've already like all this shit." He's like so when the recruit commanders would come in and shit, he'd just be like, they'd pull some shit, and he's like, "Hey, just do whatever they tell you, and it'll be fine." And he went all the way through boot camp with us and graduated with us. But basically, he did boot camp twice, like all the way through. And I was like, that's some bullshit. But I had a story. You're talking about on the ship. So when you get new guys, the new guys get messed with. But as you get guys that have been there for a while, and then you get this camaraderie build up, it becomes like, especially like gun crew. You got forward gun crew, aft gun crew. It's a 5-inch gun system. You got to rely on each other because it's a super dangerous job. There's not a piece of equipment in that gun mount that doesn't want to take off an arm and a leg and send you home dead. It fires a 72-pound projectile, and it fires 20 of them in a minute. It's a very violent machine. And so, at any rate, the forward gun mount was the largest space we had. And so, you know, that's where there was like, I had my computer up there as the leading petty officer. And so I had all that stuff. I had my office. That was basically my office. And so I came in one morning, and it was a Saturday morning. And no, it wasn't. It was a Friday morning. But it was like palm period. We'd just come back from deployment. And so there's a lot of people gone, and it was just going to be a late day. So there was a lot of guys on leave. And so we were, you know, we're coming in. So I come in the morning to get ready, and usually we had quarters outside, like morning muster outside. And so I came in and I was like, hey, I went down to the armory because all of our spaces are locked. We've got guns, we got ammunition in all of our spaces. And so I need the keys to get into my office, which is Mount 5-1. So there shouldn't be anyone in there because it's like 5 o'clock in the morning on Friday morning. And I had some guys that were on leave, and they're not supposed to sleep on the ship, but they were anyway. And I really didn't say anything about it as long as they were off the ship by the time, you know, right after quarters before cleanup and everything, so that no one really saw them. So I come in and I'm like, hey, let me get the keys to 5-1. And I get ready to sign out the keys. And he's like, I don't have the keys to Mount 5-1. I was like, who's got them? And he's like, so-and-so signed them out. And I was like, well, what's GM2 doing in the gun? I was like, he's on leave. He's probably watching movies because there's a TV up there and stuff. I was like, I bet he was watching movies, and he's going to leave first thing in the morning and go out with his girlfriend and hang out at her place and stuff. And so I go up and I open the door to the gun mount, and there's no one in there. I was like, because guys would sleep up there watching a movie and stuff. And I was like, I don't see anyone in here. And I walk around the gun mount, and I walk up to my office, and I open it up. I open my computer, and I check my email, and I'm like, I mean, surely, like, he knows better than to leave the primary magazine open. Like, we've got, because that's where we kept the scat team weapons. We had 50 cal machine guns, 240 machine guns, and the ammo and everything we needed to mount those forward guns in that space. I was like, I bet he's in here somewhere. I'm looking around like he may be curled up in a corner somewhere. I guess he's drunk. I'm like, you know, and I turn around and I look, and I was like, he's not here. When if you know anything about a 5-inch gun mount, it comes up from the bottom up through the ship. That's where all the loading comes up. Well, there's a ladder that you can climb up into. It's not even a ladder. You just kind of like climb up the elements of the gun system. And there's this open area. And when I'm standing there, all of a sudden I realize I'm looking at the power control unit. The key that opens up, it's basically like a net across this to get up into the upper gun. I'm like, why is the key, the power switch that is the key for the upper gun? I was like, why is that out of the power control panel? And I look up above my desk, and I see this foot hanging down with a pair of jeans, like wrapped around the right ankle. I kind of look up in there, and there's old boy. He's all laid out inside the upper part of the gun with his pants around his ankles, a dirty magazine in his hand on his chest like this, with his stick in his hand. He fell asleep jerking it in the upper gun. I was like, this kid really loves working on the guns. And so it's Friday. Chief's not there. He's on leave. I'm in charge of everything. I go down and I tell everybody, I was like, we're having quarters in 5-1. They're like, why are we doing foul weather parade? And I was like, just go up the goddamn gun for muster when they call away quarters. And so I get up there. That's how I went and told DeVille. I was like, hey, I've got the guys already doing something. Division officer, I'm like, you don't need to come up. Just tell me what you need. I'll run the guys. I already got them working on something. I'll go up there. And he goes, good. I really didn't want to have quarters anyway. And so I get up there, and I had already I found the keys. I'd locked them out. We're like, guns, we can't do quarters up here. I was like, I got the keys. I unlocked it. Like, everybody pile in. And they started piling in, and everybody's like, what the fuck's going on there? Everybody says, I was like, all right, everybody started making enough noise. We got to wake GM2 up. And this kid wakes up, and he's like butt naked from the waist down, got his dick in his hand, pants around his ankles, laying in a puddle of transmission fluid from the 5-inch gun system, just sitting there. And he's like, he looks down, and we're all like this, like all up looking up at him like this, like, what's going on there, Noah? that kid was so. I felt bad. I actually felt bad later. He's like, "You didn't have to do me like that." And I was like, "Bro, how could I not? I mean, layup. Come on, you set me up with that one."
Yeah, dude. Some of the things we do, man.
I can't think of a place where they've ever paid me to have that much fun. Like all you guys that want to I mean, Justin could probably tell you the same thing. Like, there's a lot of guys who are like, "Oh, thank you for your service," and I'm like, "You don't have to." I enjoyed every fucking minute of it. Well, not every minute. There were some pretty shitty minutes, but the rest of it was a lot of fun. I just picture getting to get paid to hang out with some of your best friends and do some of the dumbest stuff possible.
Yeah, there's a lot of dumb stuff that happens. Hey, Mikey, I'm gonna have to call it, brother.
Yep, I will. I'll let you go, guys. I'm going to get off of here before too long, too. I will open this up to a few questions of anybody that wants to have them. I'm going to go ahead. I will take you out. Justin, this has been fun. I appreciate it. And, guys, like I said, Fiberlight and Ember Shirt Co., I'm pretty sure that there's you guys got a contact spot on your Ember Shirt Co. page if anybody needs merchandise and stuff printed?
Yeah, my email is there, and I believe my cell phone number is on there as well.
Oh, that's not a good thing. You shouldn't have told everybody that. Do you see the people that are in my chat section?
Yeah, no, I don't mind it. You know, it's actually always cool when customers call and then they find out it's my cell phone number and they're like, "Holy smokes, this is the owner?" Like, yeah, this is my cell phone. The customers appreciate, the ability to be able to get a hold of somebody.
It is a good thing when you actually are talking to somebody that's either the owner or like his immediate second or something like that. So it's great. But Justin, I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming and hanging out. I didn't mean to I didn't give you any pre-warning on any of the questions. So it's a lot of fun.
It's always fun.
I'm going to let Justin go and then we can hang out for a little bit. I might stick around for another 15 minutes or so just to hang out with you guys. So
we'll be in Long Beach. Blade Show West.
I'm going to be there too. I'm going to be working the artisan table, so we'll definitely get to hang out.
Yeah. Yeah. If anyone's down in that area, come stop by.
Yeah. Take it easy, Justin.
All right, see you guys. Thanks.
So we got about another 15 minutes or so. What do you guys want to do? Justin just left. Oh, pardon me. I actually didn't drink all that much. The first glass you guys saw, that was a glass of ice water. I'm not going to do the big, long 4-hour live feeds. I mean, we could do a little bit here and there. Why am I so out of focus all of a sudden? But what I wanted to show you guys again, crap, I closed them. I had a web page I was going to show you and I closed it. Sorry. Snuzz, you guys take it easy. I know this wasn't as knife centric as the last one, but the one we have scheduled for you guys that don't know. So every year about this time, I give myself a birthday present. Nico knows what's coming up. I did it a couple years ago with Adam. We don't like a gentleman in the knife world called Paulo Blazano. And so next week, we are going to talk about what a rat shit he is. And that's probably going to be a big focus for that. Now, I know that there's a bunch of people that have messaged me and they're like, are you going to address the thing with Slicey Dicey? I am going to address it, and I'm going to address it now, and I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. And I hope that Super Steel Steve winds up hearing this. I personally don't like any of the stuff that happened with Slicey Dicey. I really appreciate Super Steel Steve calling it out. It's a lot like I like to do with the Paulo Blazano thing. This is a very tight-knit community, and to have a bad actor in our little community where you guys, I mean, come on. You guys have given me super chats and money and donated to my daughter's skating, and it's all because we all share a joint passion for something. And to have someone in our little community. I'm trying to make sure that when I stand up, I don't drop $1,000 knife on the floor. Looking for, I put my Norseman somewhere and now I can't find it. But for somebody to be in that, for somebody to be in our community and act like that and not do what they're supposed to do is bad. And I really, really commend I mean, Super Steel Steve and I had kind of a falling out a while ago, and most of it was my fault. I'm going to let you guys know right now. It was mostly my fault. I wasn't taking criticism at all at that time very well. I was drinking a lot, had a lot of my PTSD issues that I had not resolved, and they're never going to be resolved, but I had not gotten any real treatment for it. But what I want to say is Super Steel Steve did a really good job calling it out, bringing the receipts, showing these things. So if you guys don't know what happened, apparently Brian just wasn't meeting the things that he said he was doing. He did a bunch of giveaways, never provided the items. He had been given a bunch of things that were supposed to be sold, or were supposed to be given away, and he sold them. And I guess basically that now he came out and he said, I'm going to make it right. I'm going to take down my channel for a little bit. He turned off Patreon. He turned off memberships. So I'm going to go ahead and take him at his word for it right now. But I do know that I've reached out to a couple of those people, and I told him I want to know if he doesn't make it right. So we're going to hold the phone on that because, I mean, he basically came out and said, hey, I screwed up. So basically, I guess that's what Super Steel Steve was shooting for, and he got it. So, and then there's another little like dust up and drama and stuff that's going on, and it's the KPL thing. And I'm not even going to address that. I talked with Ryan at KPL, and I understand where he's coming from, and I don't think he's wrong. I know there's a lot of people that do, but the big thing is I see a bunch of people like, I threw away my KPL, and I was like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. Don't lie. You didn't throw away the best knife lube on the market. You know you didn't. You are a drama wave riding vulture. And so for all those guys that are in the 100 to 200 subscriber realm, those are the only people I saw doing that. And they were riding, I mean, basically they're riding the drama and trying to virtue signal and get themselves in a position where maybe someone will follow them. And I don't agree with that. I don't think that that's what was supposed to be done. And Jeremy Russell, okay, Jeremy, Brian refunded my donation towards the website today. So, okay, I guess maybe he is doing his reparations the way he said he was going to. So yeah. Do you guys want to hear the story about how I wound up having to have emergency surgery on my hand? If you guys would remember, there was a time where you should let people tell you who they are. Let them show you who they are. That will never go away. This guy took Pal's money, and it wasn't a big deal. Cornered. Common man. Yeah, Steve did a really good job of getting him cornered and putting him on the spot. And I commend Steve for that. I told him that I told him I want him to stay on it. And I texted him, I was like, stay on it. Stay on this, dude. We're that. And then the next thing you know, like he puts up a thing saying that he basically was taking it down. I will tell you guys, I know I said I didn't want to go too long, but I have 2 beers left of the 4 that I said I was going to drink for this live feed. So we have a little bit of time. It was a good time to be new to the Blade community. So what would you guys like to talk about for 2 more beers, which basically is this class? Not no 4 more hours. He's working on making stuff right. I think the handling of the situation by the community was classless. I don't think it was. And I'll tell you why I disagree, Jeremy. I mean, you probably, it's because you have you have channels that you have kind of a relationship with, and you kind of get to where those people, you spend time with them basically online and things like that. But I don't necessarily like the snowballing and piling on. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I agree that if someone had not publicly, like Steve did, called it out, I don't think anyone would have done anything about it. I didn't know, or I mean, I honestly would have been the guy doing that. I call it the Paulo Blazano situation. Paulo Blazano basically is like, I think if I did all the math correctly, we're coming up on $60,000 he basically stole from the knife community and has not provided them anyone that backed that project anything. I don't see that any differently. I don't want people in this community to get screwed. And if it takes somebody being a little bit coarse and abrasive about the way it was handled, then I'm all for it. So that's my take on it. Like I've had dealings with Brian. I wouldn't say Brian was my friend because I never really enjoyed the way the interactions were. It was always, and I'm not the only one that's going to say this, I guarantee it. So you'd be on an open forum with Brian, and Brian would see, Brian would look at you by your subscriber count versus anything you had to say to him. It's almost like he felt belittled to have to talk to someone like me at the time. I'm not going to mention where it happened. It was on a live feed on someone's channel, and I was talking to him, and it's just almost like he's like, "You got like 3,000 subscribers. Why am I even talking to you?" And I didn't like the attitude that was presented. And once I heard about this, I hate to say it, I really wasn't surprised. Was this Lacey need to be called out? The problem was our current society. Nobody wants to hold others accountable for becoming a tyrant or a bigot. And I absolutely agree. I'd like to know who to trust. I've been buying knives for years, but I don't follow the community the past few months. The people that I trust for good opinions, I always listen to anything. Like Nick Shabazz and I bounce things back and forth. I ask him like, what do you think about this? And I'm like, he's like, hey, it's a lot like the Sleece Buoy. And I'm like, then I'm going to hate it. Okay. All right, cool. And then I talk to somebody else and I'm like, hey, hey, Jared, what do you think of this knife? He goes, it's okay. And I'm like, all right, cool. So, I'm not saying I wanted anybody to dogpile on Brian. I just wanted to, once I found out it was going on, I had, OCD for ECD brought up some points. And then later I found out, all the stuff that Steve was putting out. And I was like, wow, that's shitty. What was this? I agree, you need to be called out, made public, but some of the things that have been said and the way some people are talking about it is classless. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty famous for being classless. I kind of just want the things to happen the way they're supposed to happen. And I really am upset that I stepped on Shopcat's tail. I tried to get him up on a couch with me, and when I went to get him, I stepped on his tail and he shot out. And then he's walked in and out like 3 times, and he just looks at me. He's like, fucker. Oh, pardon me. So I really don't have story time, but I was going to tell you guys about, have I ever been to Hokkaido? Okay, now comes story time. Hokkaido, Japan. So I've been to Hokkaido. I went to Hokkaido for the Sapporo Ice Festival that is it's sponsored by Sapporo Beer, and they have all these big ice sculptures. And I mean, it's so cold and it snows. It's the only place I've ever been where the train was late in Japan. You never hear of that. And I was calling my command, and I'm like, hey guys, me and my buddy Travis Boatwright and Jason Dullison, we were trying to go to the ice festival, and all this, it was snowing so hard that they stopped the trains, and we were trying to get back, and they were like, your trains are going to be late. And so I called on my cell phone to the command, and they're like, we don't believe you. The trains are never late in Japan. I'm like, no, I mean, honest. They're like, you drunk, get back to the ship. You better make it. I'm like, guys, you don't understand. Like, there is no train. And like, Travis is calling, I'm calling. It's like 6 of us. And all of a sudden they realize the trains are running late. But Hokkaido, Japan. Nico's heard this story. I was in Hokkaido, Japan on my first ship, and I was with a bunch of guys, and I left and I came back, and these guys had done something, and there was a KFC that was rolling smoke out of it. And I show up and I'm like, something's going on. And these idiots had managed to do something to to cause some sort of conflagration. It's a big, large, fancy word for a fire. And by the time the fire department was able to fight through the snow and get there, the only thing they could do was hose down the adjacent buildings so they didn't catch as well. These guys, and I can't ever say that I know exactly who they were, burned down a Kentucky Fried Chicken to the ground. To the ground. Like they burned it down. The worst I ever did was I got really drunk. I should never drink. I should never drink the. What's the one with the deer on it? Tastes really bad. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I drank that memory away. Jägermeister. I should never drink Jägermeister ever. I got kicked off the ski slopes in Nagano, Japan, where they had the Winter Olympics the one time. We went to a ski resort, and I had been asked to leave the slopes because the second time that I went down in my underwear, they told me that they didn't want me to do it again, and so I was told I needed to go to my room. And I got even more drunk, and I lit a dumpster on fire and pushed it down a hill into a parking lot, and that's when we were told that our presence at the ski resort was no longer welcome. There was a time where Mike used to do a bunch of dumb stuff. I went streaking through the largest, most busiest intersection in the world in Japan, naked, at a going away party for some of my sailors. And there was guys there from other parts of the ship, other command or other departments of the ship. And they're like, wow, your GM1 must really be drunk. And as there's one guy holding my clothes, they're like, he hasn't had a drink. He ran through that intersection stone sober. Just ran right through it. Just hold my clothes, boys. I'm going streaking through the quad. So don't think that it's all alcohol related. The motto of the fire department, save the lot. My kitty is hooked on catnip. Who's got some questions? Ask me some questions. We'll do some question and answer. I will ask anything for the next however long this lasts. It is currently 10 o'clock. We will run this for a little bit longer. I know I said 2. I'm going to try to stick to 2 hours, but ask me a question and I'll tell you no lies. What do I drive? I drive a diesel Volkswagen Golf, a turbo diesel Golf. 3, 2, 1, go. Anything new working on? The 4570 story. All right, I'll tell that story. Anything I knew I'm working on? I have a couple designs. I've reached out to a couple companies, and I haven't heard anything back. But that's not uncommon. Favorite Spyderco? I actually am a fan of the Spyderco Endura series, to include the police model. That's all I've got there. Oh, Ivan, I'm sorry, I forgot about this. Am I still making custom sea snakes? I can. Here's the thing. I will make any one of the 3 designs that I have, but the deal is we have to figure out the steel. So the upfront price is going to include half of the price of the work, plus the steel, plus the handle material, plus the abrasives. So, I mean, basically that way it's transparent. You tell me what steel it is, we'll look at it, and we'll get it priced out. And I mean, I'll be transparent about it. I'll show you, okay, this is where I'm sourcing the steel. This is the handle material. These are the prices. And then, the price I'm just gonna have to ballpark the abrasives. They're about $3 a belt, and I go through a lot of belts. So that's basically how it works. So I'm willing to do that. The only problem is right now I have an issue when I run my grinder, it trips the main for the house. The landlord is got a guy that's coming out to replace some breakers. Favorite knife steel. It just depends on the knife. Like I like ARPM 9 in some things. I like S90, but it depends on what I'm going to do with that knife. I have lost it again. I like RWL 34. I think it's a good all around steel. if you're not going to be stuck somewhere where you're not going to be able to sharpen your knife for a very long time. Any plans on a larger sea snake? It just depends. So Matt, it just depends on the steel. I would have to say S90V is about my favorite all around, but the problem is it's really expensive and it's hard to get. Nathan, 4570 story. All right, I'll tell that in a minute. Mike, is Farron Forge opening a new shop? So John, they actually moved into a garage where Elliot lives, so they're working out of the house. They haven't done anything new. A larger sea snake. We actually have talked about that a couple times. I don't know how that's going to work out. I don't know how that works. They've talked about doing a couple things, but right now I don't think they're in the market to do another fixed blade. They have a bunch of others. Okay, go to your map. You're not coming up with me. I got everything set up. I like your car a lot. Crazy sharp. I have a rare VW. Mine was the first year that they started redoing the diesel Golf. So mine's 2010, I think. But 20th anniversary GTI. Where are you going to source your steel? It just depends. Probably USA Knife Maker, places like that. That's about the best place to get small plates of steel, just enough to do. So the thing I had said, and I mean, all knife makers do this. I'm going to buy a piece of steel twice the size I need so that I can do other projects. And basically, when you pay for it, you're paying for me to be able to prototype things. Is BGM going to be on the show? Yes, BGM is scheduled for, I think, Friday the 20th of August. I'm going to put up an actual schedule. So now we've done a bunch of question and answer. Jeremy Russell, tell me more. What did Jeremy? Oh, hey, yeah, you guys can talk amongst yourselves. So the 4570 story. So when I was in high school, my dad had a really nice car, and it had the vinyl top. Ken, I'll answer that in a minute. Had a vinyl top, and I had a friend that I was giving rides to and from school, and one day we were out. I see this. I hate possums. I hated most possums. And I see this possum, and I'm like, I'm going to shoot that possum. And my dad always, like I said, school, where I grew up at school, everybody had a gun in their car. Just no one ever was going to use it on anyone. They're just going to take it and go hunting after school. And so my dad had this 4570 hunting rifle, and I lay it across the roof of the car. And you know how a vinyl top has a seam down the middle? And I pulled the trigger to shoot this possum, and it blew me out the window. I was sitting on the lip of this car, of this door with the driver's side window down. I'm laid across the top. I pulled the trigger, and I fall out the window. My buddy gets out of the car. He's like, my ears are bleeding. And I stand up, and I'm like, oh, God, the gun is okay, because I caught the gun. It was my dad's gun. I'm like, oh, God. And so I put it back in his case, and I'm picking everything up. And I stand up, and I look across the top of the car, and I realized that this gun had caught that center seam, and what it had not ripped off, it had burned in a V pattern at the muzzle all the way across. My dad had put all this work and cherried this car out. And I don't even want to tell you what car it is because y'all get upset. And I'm like, oh, I'm dead. And that was the time. Do you guys remember the time I told you that my dad beat me with his duty belt? And he beat me until he was sweaty and pale, and my ass had quit hurting. It just was hot. That was the time. That was the time. So there you have the story for that. Okay, so Ken Harris, am I considering doing regrinds? I am considering doing regrinds to do hollows and possibly thin out some flats, but I cannot be held responsible for the end result. Hey, come here, buddy. I'm sorry. Shopcat just showed up. Shopcat, I'm sorry. Come here, buddy. Tab. Oh, he doesn't even have anything to do with me. He's going over to talk to the dog. Buddy, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. Come here. I'm sorry. Stuff was he's over there with the dog. It was a very interesting day. I came home. And my dad came home that day, and he I saw him pull in, and I'm like, oh God. I mean, so I knew I was in trouble because my mother came out and she looked at my father's car and she looked at my father's car. She looked at me and she didn't say anything. She was like, I just walked back in the house. I'm like, I am so fucking boned right now. And I was like, all right. So I went upstairs. I went to my room and I started doing homework and stuff. My dad came home and sorry, I haven't taken that back down. So my dad came home and I see him out in front of the house doing this. Like a dog listening to a high-pitched noise. It's like, you and your friend ever whistle at the dog from two different directions? The dog's like, what's going on here? That's kind of what my dad was doing. And then I heard him yell my name, and I knew that I didn't want him to have to say my name twice. So I came downstairs, and as he's walking in, he's taking stuff off that big, fat leather duty belt. Just big. And I'm like, and I didn't even question it. He's like, get over here. And I'm like, okay. And he beat me with that belt until he was sweaty and pale. And I was worried about his health. I was like, I'll tell you about the time my dad slapped me harder than I've ever been punched in my life. I had an argument with another school child. I was like freshman, junior high, maybe like between seventh and ninth grade time frame. And I'd had an altercation in the front yard. And I'd never grappled because I was never a wrestler. I'd always taken like striking arts and martial arts. And I got hemmed up and I got hurt and I was mad. And I came in and I told my dad to get these out of the yard. And but before I did that, I punched the entire aluminum plate out of the bottom of a screen door. And my dad was like, what is wrong with you, boy? And I was mad and I was cursing and screaming and hollering. And my dad looked at me and he goes, shut up. And I kept yelling and he reached back. And my dad was a diesel mechanic. So he had, I got big hands. His were like really thick. They were hard like wood. And he slapped me. And I didn't know what had happened. He slapped me harder than I've ever been punched in my life. And there were times I've been in bar fights and I'd get hit and I'd get punched. And I knew that's everything they had. And I'm like, wow, that was a good one. And inside my brain is like, bitch, you've been slapped harder than that. Get back in that fight. And then you would smile because like, I've been slapped harder than that. And that's a very disheartening thing for someone that just hits you, punched you as hard as you can, that you turn around and you smile at them and they're like, I have chosen poorly. So that's a couple of quick stories. And it's still only 2.5 hours. So I'll take a couple more questions and then I'm going to end this because I'll drink the rest of this. This is weird. It's just me talking. So, like I said, we got BGM. So Wednesday is Adam Chavez, Flippin' Bean. If you guys don't follow him on Instagram, you should. My dad could have won that contest. I swear to God, I have got a chin. I have been told numerous times, like, bro, I've never seen anyone hit that hard and not get knocked out. I got a pool stick broke across my face, across my jaw, and I didn't go out. And people were like, I've never seen anything like that. My dad slapped me almost unconscious. Like, my dad could win one of those slapping contests. So anyway, we got Flippin' Bean. And then on Friday, guys, Friday's big night. Friday's big night at the Endler household. I'm hoping that we're going to have Jared and Mrs. Neves. And if I can get Jared and Mrs. Neves, I will make my wife. Well, I'll request kindly for my wife for a moment to come out and sit down and say hi to Mrs. Neves. I'll tell my wife anything. What was that? A freaking pool cue. Yeah. So we'll tell the story some other time, but I literally had a kid break, like he hit me with a pool stick and it broke. And everybody was like, that I screamed I was going to kill him. They said he looked at the pool stick. I was kind of dazed. He looked at the pool stick, looked at me, looked at the pool stick, and then ran down the steps. And when the police were down at the bottom of the steps, apparently he told him, he's like, there's a dude up there that's going to kill me. Yeah, he like hit me across the face with the fat end of a pool stick. And I didn't go out. So, what was this? So bummed. What do you mean so bummed? What's the matter? What's going on, cue ball? Oh, you're going to be in the air. Oh, yeah, that's right. You're flying on Friday the 13th. I don't know if you know this. You can use, oh, somebody beat me to it. No, not that. This, Mike. That's what I was going to use, the in-flight Wi-Fi. There you go. I may have over-exaggerated my status in this household. I wear the pants in this family when she lets me. I'm the king of this house when she's not around. It's Jared and me on my channel, which means, you know, the fact, like the weird questions that I ask people, I'm going to ask them of Jared. Will I get Chris and Elliot? I don't know if I can get them both. I would like to have them both. I would imagine I can get Elliot. I'll reach out to him. Chris, to tell you the truth, Chris does not like being on camera. There's a good reason why the majority of the time you see the YouTube videos, and I'm not saying they wouldn't do it. I'm just saying the fact is that Chris just doesn't like being on camera. So I don't know if he'd be willing to do it. I would love to. I love Chris and I love Elliot. They're like family. But the fact is, I just can't promise I can get both of them. So you're insubordinate and cherish. I was a kid. I was in the car with my wife right after we got married, and we were going. I forget we were going somewhere. And we were like just playing. We're sending insults back and forth. And I said something and she didn't have anything. And I was like, well, you know, this, and she said that. I was like, well, this, and she said that. I said something and she's like, anyway, you're a bitch. And I was like, I got nothing. The Williamsons, from what I hear, are very private people. Elliot, my friend Elliot, is very gregarious and outgoing, but they're very private people. I do not rule the roost. I know better. I take my little victories when I can get them. So comfortable. I was hoping Jared would come out. I wore my Chicago shirt. You know, it says live free. I don't know if you've been to Chicago and seen them 2A rules. That is the least free. That is the least free city I've ever been to. Like, oh, you have all these. I'm like, all these rules. You would think that if gun control worked, we won't talk about that. I have control over the house, or at least one room of it. I have the entire garage. It's all mine. All mine. And I have a nice turquoise grandma couch out here. The 773. Okay, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about are you talking about the old are you talking about the deal with Microtech and Kershaw, or Microtech and was it Kershaw? ZT Kershaw? Same company, it doesn't matter. Is that what we're talking about? 773? Chicago. You're in Canada? You can't even look. Do you want to know something screwed up? This knife is made in Canada, and I can't even send it to you. If I sold this knife to you, I couldn't even send it to you. But it's made in Canada. Oh, okay. Chicago. 733. Is it? Oh, I have to look up Jared's email. All right, I got Jared's phone number. You guys want Jared's phone number? That's not funny, because I'll do it. I don't know. I wouldn't say Chicagoans are deplorable. I'll tell you who are deplorable. I grew up outside of a town called Coshocton, and we call them Coshidiots. Coshocton, shitty idiots. Coshidiots. Don't send that. I'll get deported. Guys, I can honestly tell you I have never like there's always knives that I've bought and I carried, and I've never had a knife that pushed so many things out of my pocket. Like I have to force myself to carry other things. I have a case full of knives. The only thing that gets any other pocket time, like if I'm grabbing things that I want to carry, the only thing that gets pocket time is usually, and I know you guys are going to think it's the one that Nico gave me, but that I keep because it's so special. I gotta end that. This one gets a lot of pocket time because I can duplicate the finish on this. This gets a lot of pocket time, and because it's just such a good knife. I live in Kentucky, and I still feel the need to lock myself in the bathroom for a sense of personal security. I was going to say something. I know that it's up here a ways. I know that Greg had asked me if it was hot in my garage. It's actually not. This garage does not get real hot. What's my favorite knife design? It's this one. And that's why it was such a grail for me for so long. I used to pick on Nick Shabazz. I used to sound like, what is it with you and those Graham Razels? I just don't get it. I don't see the infatuation with the Graham Razel. And then even when I got one, I was like, I didn't see it. But when I got one of these and I actually was able to use it, like I've had a couple come in and people are like, oh, you can carry it. And once I bought one, I started seeing the use for that forward, like that flatter edge, not necessarily the Razel, but like that forward edge being up there like that. So I could use it pushing forward and doing things and then having a recurve. I like there's a lot of uses that this knife fits, and that's why it's always in my pocket. That's why it gets sharpened so often, because it's not that it's a weak steel. It's just it gets used that much. That thing looks like a horse member. No, it doesn't. It does not. It looks like an angry pelican. Can't tell me it doesn't look like an angry pelican. There's his eyes. It's an angry pelican. The angry pelican knife. I like the fact that you use horse member as opposed to the other term, which was cack. It's not a blade for everyone. And I've seen a lot of people like they don't understand it. I was like, I use it all the time. It's probably one of my more useful knives. It's like having two knives in one. If I need to do certain things, I can do that. If I need to do this, and it really does cut really, really well. And for a large knife, it carries well. I was trying to stay somewhat clean. Well, I took it there, and I'm trying to figure out, is it because I'm too close? Because this looks like the stuff back here, guys, is it just me? When I'm up here, does it look like I'm out of focus and this stuff it's weird, in focus? Because my sweatshirt definitely looks more in focus than I do. I don't know. Way too complex to grind, especially for me. It's really not that hard. It's not really that hard to maintain. Okay, it's not that hard for me to maintain. You just gotta have the right tools for the job. Guys, I really want to see, I'm sorry, I really want to shoot the video, which is the grip progression video. I'm trying to get that exclusive content. I have got to find a smaller tripod. The way my workbench is set up, and I know you guys have probably seen it, it's all the way up against the wall, and I have no way of getting my tripod behind it. So for me to shoot the actual grip progression video, I've got to figure something else out. I talked to Nick Shabazz about the tripod system he uses that is a bench mounted thing. I'm looking into it, but I honestly can't afford it. What we may do is we may shoot it front facing camera and I just explain what I'm doing, because we've already talked about the sharpening and like reprofiling, maintaining angles and things like that. So I think what I can do is I can shoot it front facing camera and I can talk to you guys while I explain what I'm doing, and then shoot like from the rear facing camera, like what I'm looking for on things like that, because I really feel bad that we haven't got that done yet. But the fact is, it's just, I'm so limited. While this is a better setup for everything, I honestly am limited now on what I can and can't do because of the way I've set it up. Like before, I would shoot in my kitchen and I could use both sides of the counter. So I could set my tripod up on one side and then film from the other, and you guys could see what I was doing. So, you know, I kind of feel like I'm neglecting the premium tier members, and it's not that I don't want to shoot the video. I just really can't find a way to do it. And my wife is waving at me that I have to end this. Apparently there's something going on. I apologize, guys. We're going to end it now. We're already past anyway. So, give me 2 minutes. So, all right, guys, I love you. That was like $17. Cool. Send me that email. I love you guys. This has been fun. Like I said, I don't want you guys to think I drink every day. I do. I just don't want you to think that I do. There's affiliate links and everything down below. If you haven't noticed, I have talked about it. I'm doing a sharpening summer sale where I'm only charging $25 for any knife to any grit, as long as it's not something like this, like a recurve or Tonto or recurve Tonto, any of those. So don't forget, Wednesday night we'll be doing this again. I am going to keep that one to the 2-hour time frame. We did an extra, and we were already over when Justin left anyway. So guys, I love you all. Thanks for the super chats. I'm sorry that Shopcat, I stepped on Shopcat's tail and he didn't stick around. So you guys take it easy. I love you. I'll see you next time. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying to hit the button. It's not working. There it goes.